dropped on a new week of SDHJM. John, hear you there. Thanks as always for dropping by, as you always do. And it is one of those weeks where we get to kind of look at a bunch of different things. MLS hasn't completely and totally shut down, but we will have a handful of matches to look at. So that in and of itself won't be a whole lot of different. Atlanta United, though, has players heading off to international windows and international breaks. And so we'll be kind of keeping an eye on things internationally with everybody who has departed, including our buddy the Hoff. Because if you follow the Hoff on social media, you'll see that he's on a plane, or at least heading to an airport. I think he's heading – is he heading to the airport? I think he was heading to the airport to do their next story that they do, the Delta stories that you see with Atlanta United. Last time out, it was Alexei Miranchuk and catching up with him. And so now the Hoff and our buddy Diego Penzone, they are off to parts outside the contiguous 48. And so they're off to do their next story here in the international window. So we'll keep an eye on their social medias and find out what's going on there. But so we'll be looking at Atlanta United this week through the international prism. We'll be looking at Major League Soccer through its prism because, once again, we still have a handful of matches going on. And from there, it'll be a week of catching up with stories and Club World Cup and let's see what else is going on this week. Obviously, we've got the other leagues, the other divisions. We'll be catching up with all of that stuff as well. So it'll be different, but it won't be a whole lot different this week. And so we'll catch up with our friends as we always do. I think we're going to be catching up with our friends in Sporting Jacksonville, and because they're off and running on a couple of different leagues, and so we'll catch up with them. And I think that is going to run on Wednesday. So we'll keep you posted with that as well. But it is pretty much whatever's on your mind this morning. Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game is going to join us to bat lead off in about 8 minutes, or knowing Abe, probably 3. And we'll catch up with him and what he thinks about Atlanta United and Red Bulls. We'll go over all the numbers and go through your thoughts about everything that happened with Atlanta United and with Red Bulls. Bart Keeler is going to join us in hour number 2, as he traditionally does, to talk about cards and calls. And one of the cards and calls, or the call that was made, that impacted Atlanta United and Red Bulls. We'll go over that. We'll walk you through those plays. We won't do the video versions, but we will walk you through that play. We'll walk you through specifically a play in the Club World Cup and the play-in game of the Club World Cup. And also we will keep you posted on a play that happened in Major League Soccer that kind of goes to analysis and mentality of officials. And then from there, it is also looking at what happened with the women's national team this past weekend with a really cool call-in and an introduction into a lineup. So we'll get into all of that with Bart coming up at 10:30. We'll go through all of the news of the weekend, some interesting moments that happened in Seattle involving players and their apparel, and we'll get into that as well. Tomorrow we'll hear from LAFC as they have advanced into the round of 32. They have become Team 32, and so we'll hear from them. We'll catch you up on the what's the word I'm looking for? The sound. Yes, the sound coming from CONCACAF and Vancouver getting thumped by Cruz Azul last night, 5-0. It was 3-0 after 30, and it really wasn't that close. So Ranko Veselinovic was asked about it after the match, tipped his hat to Cruz Azul, and it was not a Cruz Azuleada as a lot of us thought it was going to be. You remember our conversation with Nico Moreno that we had back on Thursday. He was thinking Cruz Azuleada, which is, for those of you not familiar with the term, it is morning Tom and morning Sharif. It is one of those terms. It's kind of like Clemsoning. It is the Clemsoning of this hemisphere's soccer. So every single time that Cruz Azul would get to a moment where you would have something akin to international, well, not necessarily international, but hemispheric glory, that's how we say. They would always end up with Lucy holding the football, and Lucy would pull the football away as Charlie Brown would go to run and kick it, and Charlie Brown goes skyward. Picture Cruz Azul as Charlie Brown. Every single time that Lucy would hold the football down, Cruz Azul would do a Cruz Azuleada, and they would just, up into the air and then they would fall on the ground and nothing would happen. The last couple of times that something like this has given itself an opportunity for Cruz Azul, they have not missed the football that Lucy has put on the ground. And last night was another one of those examples where it was a thumping. And, good for Cruz Azul to make it through to the CONCACAF-iness of CONCACAF. And so we'll get into that, and we'll get into LAFC making it in his Team 32 and all of that coming up here on the show. I was close. I thought Abe was going to be here in 3 minutes. He was here in 4. I was that close, just to get the idea, because once again, I always say Abe is 9:15. To that, Abe means 9:10 or sooner, and sometimes 9:08. He's wired in that way. He's from the Tom Coughlin school. 5 minutes earlier on time. You're on time. You're late. You're late. The door's closed and it's locked, and you ain't getting in. Not that we're like Tom Coughlin, mind you, and if he doesn't show up at 9:15, we're locking the door. But no, it's just traditionally the man is early, and he is at Colony Square, and so he's going to come and hang out with us here for a little bit as we look back at Atlanta United and Red Bulls. Good morning, sir. How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Look, you were a lot closer than Vancouver was, so we got that going for us.
Wow, man, I know. Yeah, we're gonna kind of get into that a little bit, but it was a good old fashioned thumping, as they say. It was a tour to the woodshed last night.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 2 huge Champions League matches, both end with 5-0 scoreline. So there you go.
Yeah. So all right. So I'll go ahead and ask you which team that lost 5-0 looked worse.
I'll be honest, I didn't watch the game last night. I just saw the scoreline, so I don't know how Vancouver looked. But Inter looked completely outmatched, just from a physical standpoint, the speed of the game, obviously the age difference, the youth that PSG had was really impressive. Really, really impressive. And it's funny, I was talking with Maddie on Saturday evening, and it was just like I planned my whole day around kind of joining the afternoon and sitting down and watching this game at 3:00, and 20 minutes in, it was over. It was 2-0, and it was like there's no road to come back here. I guess maybe they can get a scrappy, lucky goal and then see what happens. But once it hit 3-0, I'm like, this might be 6-0 by the end of this thing, and it was darn close. So Inter just did not look very competitive. Look, teams sometimes have a bad day at the wrong time as a unit, and between that and the first 2 goals from PSG were just beautiful pieces of art. So yeah.
Yes, and so you had art involving PSG. Luis Enrique is officially, if you didn't know, Luis Enrique is a bad man. He is a bad man, and it's for everything. Oh, there's one piece of tape that I always kind of link back to when folks sit there and they don't quite necessarily understand how bad a man Luis Enrique is, and it's a piece of tape where he is trying to get Kylian Mbappe to buy in on the whole, be defensive, be a part of the collective. Yes, you're a great player, but it ain't all about you and all that kind of stuff. And Mbappe is there the whole time, and Luis Enrique is explaining what he needs for him to do. Okay, I need you to go here, do this, and do this, because it's about the collective. Mbappe is just kind of like, yeah, I need you. You're an incredible player. Don't get me wrong, but for the win in the collective, I need you to be a part of the collective. And Mbappe is just kind of like, and you see how PSG is with Mbappe, and you see how PSG is without Mbappe. So there you go. He goes to Real, and see what happens. Okay. Atlanta United and Red Bulls, and we're going to talk about the one moment that I think could have changed the match in the second half. First half, we'll get into it. We'll walk through it. But we're going to talk about Timothy Ford in hour number 2 with Bart when he comes in, because we go over cards and calls and such. And Timothy Ford botched it. I've looked at it like 19 different ways, and I can't find it. So if he wants to, re-navigate and re-officiate, that's what we seem disappointingly to have VAR happen a lot. But let's go through the first 45, and you simply cannot, on the road in a tough place to play like SI Ticket Stadium or Harrison, New Jersey, or whatever you want to call it now, you can't have that early moment like you had with Mickey in a building that is traditionally as tough as you have it.
Yeah, look, it's something I expressed to you from a frustration standpoint a number of times in regards to when Atlanta United was on that long winless streak. And that is teams are not having to work hard enough against you to score goals, whether it's a moment or a mistake, whatever it is. Teams are being gifted goals, and you just can't win games in this league like that, especially not on the road against a team you've never beaten on the road. And so, look, it's 3 minutes in, and it's a situation where he turned his back. The next time he looked to make that pass, Miggy did. The player Cameron Harper had cheated up and held high and intercepted a ball. Look, this goal is on Miggy. There's no doubt about that. I was discussing if Luis Abram should have taken the foul outside the box, maybe picked up a yellow card if it's the right type of foul. I think there's also an issue where if you foul him in the wrong manner, it's a red card. And so in the 3rd minute, what do you do? In my brain, there was a way to foul him properly outside the box and see what happens. I know Forsberg would be eating up his chances there to hit a free kick at that point. But don't let me make it sound like this is on Luis Abram at all. It certainly is not. But in my own head, it was like there was one slight way this maybe could have gone differently, but it's a big mistake for Miggy and for a guy that obviously has been relatively disappointing this season. A tough one to eat, and he tried to make up for it as best he could the rest of that half, but it just wasn't there. You can't make the mistake. It's as simple as that. You can't gift the goal. Now, on the second goal, there were some mistakes made by Atlanta United, but you also have to give credit to the Red Bulls for seizing an opportunity. Look, you were trying to play maybe an offsides trap, and you just weren't quite high enough. They put together 2 really nice passes and beat you in for goal number 2. And it was a nice goal. It's a goal I'd be proud of if Atlanta United scored. And so you made some mistakes, but you're also going to give credit in that one to the Red Bulls. But yeah, that first goal, you go down 3-0, and you had battled back from a deficit just a game before, right? You were down 4 minutes in the other night to Orlando City. And so it's certainly a position you don't want to get too familiar with. They showed fight. They couldn't put a tally home. They showed fight, though. They made it interesting at times to see if you can get one here, get one there, game on. And there were a couple of guys on Red Bulls that were on yellow cards. I was like, maybe if one of those picks up a second one, you can get there. But all in all, it was just too easy for Red Bulls to take a lead at home. And that's something that I think has bit Atlanta United at multiple times over the season. And I've said it before. I said it already once today, and I'll say it as we move forward here. 5 road games left. You just have to make it tougher for teams to score on you. And that has not been the case all too often for the Five Stripes.
Yeah. And then on the flip side of that, you look at those players that have answered the bell recently. And I want to start the conversation. I know we've talked about Alexei Miranchuk in the past, but I want to start the conversation with you with the player of the match in Bart Sleesh. The numbers that Bart put together are nothing short of insane when you think about it in that building going up against Red Bulls, where you end up with, and Bart had the highest number, according to our friends at SofaScore, at a 7.3, short of anybody else that come in off the bench. Bart played the full 90. I'd love to know what his mileage was playing the full 90. I mean, did he run the 10K like Saba did? You know what that means to run a 10K, but to have to do it in 90 minutes the way that you do. 64 of 69 passing at 93%. The one key pass. All 3 of his long balls hit the target. 1 block shot, 2 for 4 on the dribble, 5 duels along the way. And he had 2 clears, a pick, 2 tackles, and 4 times he was dribbled past. But Bart continues to impress in a bunch of different ways in this most recent run of matches that I think was it wasn't looked at the same way early in the season, but in the last couple of matches, it really has popped out on the screen what we've seen from Bart Sleesh.
Well, look, I did see a stat that Sleesh ran 8.1 miles against Orlando City, which is well beyond a 10K. So I have to imagine he was close to that range as well this past weekend against Red Bulls. And look, we've been asking for this team to show fight, and sometimes it's as a unit, and sometimes it's from an individual. I think along with what he was doing on his field, the mentality, I think, is what you needed to see from the entire team. But I think he was the one that showcased it most in this situation. And so, look, he's been very good. And the one thing I will say, separate of the result, is it's become very clear that this is the formation that best suits this personnel. And not that everything is locked in and that every question has been answered just because of this formation and this personnel grouping. But there's no doubt that there are specific players who are performing their best in this grouping and in their duties, what they're being asked to do. And Sleesh is certainly one of them. And he's had some highs and some lows. His performances seem to come in waves sometimes, but it feels like right now he's on an upswing. Hopefully it doesn't turn down because of the consistency of the formation and that there's going to be some new pairings over the course of the next couple weeks as, players are possibly in or out of international duty, but him being one of them, by the way. So yeah. We'll see if he even suits up the next time they take their field up there at Yankee Stadium. But he's been outstanding. Moranchuk's been outstanding. I think your center backs, with the exception of a mistake here or there from Derek Williams, but he also had a man of the match performance not too long ago. So I think your spine through the middle and the defensive side has been good. Now you got to get the spine of what's up top to kind of reach that. And that goes back to trying to get Latte Loth going. I thought he was more involved this week, but ultimately nothing to show for it. And then Miggy, obviously a massive setback in the third minute. And ultimately he didn't have much to say about a scoreline either.
Yeah. And for those that have been looking at the papers overseas and have their notifications set up for certain keywords, there was a story that came out of the Northern Echo newspaper this past weekend where it was discussed that Ipswich, after in the process of losing Liam Delap for $30 million, might be shopping, and the individual that they might be shopping for is Latte Lot, and Kieran McKenna, the head coach at Ipswich, he needs that talisman up top. He knows what Latte Lot brings to the table from his time at Middlesbrough. So in addition to extraordinary windows and such and summer windows coming up and things like that, this is something else that we have to add to just kind of keeping an eye on, not necessarily sitting here and doing Latte Lot watch, but it's something that we got to keep an eye on here with the windows coming up overseas.
Well, I mean, look, right now, I don't think anyone would be too disappointed if you moved Latte Loth, or quite frankly, and I know the relationship to the club, if you found a way to move Miggy. But I think the financials have to make sense. I think there's some questions there. Obviously, you can't lose $15 million on this deal. But yeah, I mean, we've seen what TRA's done in short time. If it opens up another DP spot for Garth and Chris Henderson to play with, I'd be open to that. There's no doubt about that in my mind, but you can't take a huge hit because I don't think Latte Loth has been bad. I don't think the issue for the most part has been him. I think they're still working some things out up top, but I thought the other night there against Red Bulls, even a loss, he was much more active than he had been in the past couple of matches. So if something pops up and it makes sense, like, go for it. But if not, I don't think the issue has been him. I think there's other players who need to step up and do more.
And you mentioned, as we have another couple of minutes here with Abe Gordon before he actually goes to his paying gig on Monday. You mentioned next match at the U12 pitch in the Bronx, and I think that is where it's going to be. I don't think it's at Citi Field. I think it is in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium. You're looking at rotated side. To what extent, we don't know. But once again, it gives the younger players that opportunity that we've seen in the past, going back to the Cincinnati match at TQL, where you got to see Will Riley come in for a start, put in those kinds of numbers. We've seen it with Matt Edwards, and we got to keep an eye on Jay Fortune with international duty with Trinidad and Tobago. So it presents opportunities where other folks can take advantage of it. on a surface area that ain't your normal size pitch at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So you're going to be playing in a pinball machine, or you're going to be playing in a washer dryer with a bunch of fighter jets. But it does present another opportunity coming up, and we'll talk about it again more next week when we have a better gauge as to what it's going to look like. But once again, it creates opportunity, and you could see more of those younger players that we want to see out there that don't get international call-ups, chances to shine for Atlanta United.
Yeah, I think you're going to be forced to. If Sleesh is unable to go because of his international duty, Jay Fortune's unable to go because of his international duty, and probably don't have Tristan Moyamba back from the injury there. I mean, I guess there's a chance he is, but probably not. Like, yeah, you probably are looking at potentially Mateus Click if he can avoid a red card for 90, and Will Riley, and that's what I'd like to see. And depending who else is gone, I think Noah Cobb and Matt Edwards make sense if they're both available. I think Luke Brennan would make sense, especially as you bring up that pitch. And I know there's some weird love-hate relationships with Luke Brennan, but because of the pitch, you're not passing your way into goals, you're dribbling your way into goals, and so. If Brennan's available, and I know he might have some youth international duty. I don't know the full schedule and who's running around over there. I'll detail that when we get closer to the game. But I want some dribblers in this match because of the pitch, and Brennan would certainly fit the key if he's ready to roll. So yeah, I look at a lot of youth and would be very, very interested to see. Togashi has been very good with the twos.
Yep.
I think there's a question about whether he is looked at a little bit more seriously as well. But it really depends on just your international duty and then also the injuries. Again, if Moyamba's healthy and can go, you got to get him back in the lineup. He was outstanding. I don't know what's taking Stian Gregerson so long. Is he going to be available with another 10 days, 12 days rest, whatever it's going to be? So a lot of questions in terms of injury and availability, but I would imagine you do see quite a switched off 11.
Yeah, looking forward to it and seeing what happens. Obviously, we'll talk about it more next week as we get closer to playing at the U12 pitch. Hit the promo, my friend. What's going on in your planet?
Yeah, look, no game this week, obviously, and so we'll be back on Thursday. An interesting game day there. Thursday, I believe, is a first. It's a first for MLS play.
Yeah.
So looking forward though to getting there to Yankee Stadium. We'll have coverage for you at 6:30. And until then, we'll just be keeping an eye on all the United players as they represent their countries and hopefully come back healthy. I know that's always a big concern as well.
Yes, as always, my friend. Great to see you on Mondays and great to have you bat and lead off to break everything down. We will catch up with you whenever you wish to drop in and sit there and say hi, or next Monday, whichever comes first.
You got it. Sounds good.
There we go. There goes Abe. And so Abe's going to go get properly hydrated and take the tub of dihydrogen oxide that he has off to the side. And Abby reminds us that Luke is U19s. So we'll keep an eye on everything involving Atlanta United. We'll keep an eye on everything that is attached internationally. We've seen, for those of you that follow Saba on the media that is social, on his Instagram or IG, we're seeing him wandering through parking garages. And we'll keep an eye on who is out for international duty and see who is out where doing what for whom. And then obviously we'll keep an eye on all of that as we go. Now, we'll hear more from folks tomorrow when it comes to everything that happened in this match. We'll catch up with players and sound and things like that. We'll catch up with all of that tomorrow, and we'll break it all down for you then, in addition to what we're going to do today. So let's roll through some of the numbers, obviously, and let you know who did what. I made a point to bring up Bart's numbers because of what we've seen from Bartosz Slisz recently, and he is. You've seen the fire in the man's belly, and it is definitely something that folks need to be paying attention to, and really been impressed with Bart's play all season long. But obviously, as we were talking about with Abe, it's one of those where you sit there and it's like he's really dialing it up a couple different notches. Just to add to that, Alexei Miranchuk on the night. Alexei played the full 90, had a .21, adding to the XG and the XA. had 1 for 2 on the dribble, 75% of his passes at 24-32. 1 cross, 1 long ball, 3 for 4 on his ground duels. He was fouled 1 time, had a pick and a tackle to go along with it. And the numbers from the starting 11 for Atlanta United. Brad had a 6.7. Luis Abram had a 6.2 because of, obviously, the goal that happened in front of him. Derek had a 6.5. Matt Edwards continues to impress. He had a 6.7, but he also had a yellow card courtesy of our friends at SofaScore, playing the full 90. 4 clears, 1 blocked, 2 total tackles, and a dribble pass. He was 5 of 9 on his duels, 3 of 5 on the ground, 2 of 4 in the air. Was fouled once, 43 of 51 passing at 84%, to go with the perfect 100% number in the 42 of 42 that we got to see at home during the homestand. Had the 1 cross, had 4 long balls that connected on the night, and that goes with the yellow card to be a 6.7. Saba, who played time on the right and the left when you were trying to create late when you brought in Brooks Lennon. 75 minutes on the night, had a .10 for your total X's. 10 of 17 passing, but you understand with him as a right wing back and a left wing back that those numbers aren't going to be as high as they traditionally may be when he's playing up a little higher. 1 shot on target, had a shot block, successful dribble, 3 of 4 on his ground duels, and had a clearance and a tackle to go with his offensive numbers. Bart had a 7.3, Jay Fortune a 6.6, Pedro Amador a 6.3. Latte Lot also had a 6.9. Miggy had a 6.4 on the night. Latte Lot played the full 90, had a .13. 1 shot blocked, 1 dribble, 13 of 19 passing. 2 key passes for Latte Lot on the night, 1 long ball. He was 10 of 18 on his duels, 4 of 7 on the ground, 6 of 11 in the air. Fouled twice, had a clearance, a tackle, and a dribble pass. Miggy on the night, I know that Miggy has been a conversation. We'll get into what you guys have been saying early on here coming up in just a little bit. But Miggy on the night played 60 minutes. And you could tell that it looked like he was not the only one, but you could tell it looked like the week had caught up with him and was pulled after 60 minutes. He had the 1 shot on target and the 1 shot off, 16 of 19 passing, had the 1 key pass, 1 long ball, one WONE ground duel. And he was offside once, had a tackle, a dribble pass, and then obviously the error leading to a goal. So that was the numbers for Atlanta United. In the overall on the day, Red Bulls had 55% possession. This is a different Red Bull setup under Sandro Schwartz than what we're used to seeing, involving the press and creating short fields and being clinical. They don't mind possessing the ball as much. They don't, they're not going to want to set the world on fire with possession. Minnesota United seems to be the group now where it's like the ball's got cooties. We don't want it. Here, you have it. We'll make sure that we defend, and then we're clinical when we have the ball and go back the other way. Atlanta United actually had the higher XG on the night, a 1.12 compared to a 0.83. Red Bulls had 2 big chances compared to 1. Atlanta United actually finished with 11 shots compared to 7. But once again, when you've got a 2-0 lead and you're basically just trying to get out of town, you're just kind of like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever, fine. 5 saves for Carlos Cornell compared to 1 for Brad on the night. It was 8 of the 9 corners went to Atlanta United, 24 fouls on the day, 13 to Red Bulls, 11 for Atlanta United. Less passes for Atlanta United, even though they had more they had 45% possession. So it was 24 free kicks, 13 to Atlanta United, 6 yellows on the night, 4 of them to Red Bulls. And total shots 11-7. Each team had 3 shots on target. 5 blocked shots. Atlanta had 5 blocked shots on the night. And that's all I want. All I want is for my numbers to stay up the entire time as I'm sitting here and scrolling for them. Literally, the website just went ahead and reset while I was discussing everything. All right, so let me see if I can pick up where I was here. Hang on just a second. Shots off target, 3 each. Once again, shots inside the 18. Atlanta United had 7 shots inside the 18 compared to 5. They also had 4 outside the 18. It was 1 big chance missed, 2 through balls, 21 touches inside the 18 compared to 10. And Atlanta fouled in the final third 3 times compared to 1. Each team had 2 offside. calls on the night. Then you get into defending, total tackles about even, interceptions about even, recoveries were more for Red Bulls, 63-48. Atlanta had 27 of the 50 clearances on the night, and then Brad had the one save compared to 5 for Cornell. No big saves. One high claim for Brad, 2 for Cornell. Brad had 2 punch clears compared to 1, and 3 goal kicks compared to 4. So that's your numbers for Atlanta United going up against Red Bulls. Once again, the goal in the 3rd minute by Cameron Harper, who was causing problems on the right-hand side for Red Bulls on the evening. And then it was Maxim Choupo-Moting on goal number 2, actually getting a goal that didn't have anything to do with the spot. So it was a goal within the state of play for Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting. So 2 goals in 29 minutes, and Atlanta United was having to fight uphill. And we'll get into what happened in the second half, obviously, with Bart when he comes and joins us for his segment coming up in about 25 minutes at the top of the hour. So when Bart drops by, it'll be discussing cards and calls from the weekend. Once again, there are 3 plays that I had in mind to start, and if there's anything else that pops in Bart's mind, the review by Timothy Ford that made it, it should have been 2-1. Should have been 2-1 at that point, and then the game changes and your approach changes a little bit. But we'll go over that play. We'll have to walk you through it because how do we phrase it? The YouTube police got after us after what we did 2 weeks ago. So we'll walk you through it. We'll walk you through that play. We'll go through the studs up in the 18 in the Club World Cup play-in game with LAFC and Club America that eventually tied it. And then also we'll get into a tackle that probably should have given Minnesota United a second yellow and a red, where they would have had to have finished the match with 10 going up against Seattle last night on SNS on Sunday Night Soccer. So we'll go over the Marcanic tackle, and literally it was a tackle. After picking up a yellow, maybe 2 minutes later, literally it was a grab around the waist and a tackle, and nothing happened. It really should have been a second yellow. But we'll go over administration and what you're monitoring and things like that, and if there are any other calls that Bart had that stuck in his brain from the weekend. But those 3 are the ones that I wanted to discuss with Bart in Cards and Calls. And obviously we'll go over what happened with the women's national team, the swap outs on the men's national team because of injury, and we'll get into anything else that's on Bart's mind. And then, like I said, we'll get into Club World Cup. We'll get into Team 32. We'll get into what happened last night with the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza final, where Abe wasn't lying. It was the second championship game this past weekend, where one team didn't show up and the other one, you're like, the other one showed up and the other one, can you plug them back in? Just a thought. Can we just plug them back in? That's all we're looking for. And it didn't happen. So we'll go over the 2 title games, both ending up 5-0. We'll go over the play-in game for Team 32 in the Club World Cup, and we'll hear from folks tomorrow when it comes to the play-in, what it means to be in the Club World Cup. And this is our Club World Cup coverage is going to start in earnest next Monday, as we're getting everybody closer and closer and closer to what's going on with the Club World Cup. We're going to be out and about here in Atlanta for all of the events. Now that we know that LAFC and the 32-52 are going to be coming this way. Don't know how many of the 32-52, but nevertheless, LAFC and Chelsea are going to be match number 1 at Mercedes-Benz Stadium of the 3 group stage matches that are going to be attached. We're going to be kind of dropping in and around the Southeast and catching up with a couple of clubs and find out what it's like for them to be training here in this part of the world as we get ready for the World Cup in 26, but the Club World Cup here in 25. It looks like there's going to be a team practicing in Charlotte. We know of a club that is going to be practicing up in Chattanooga. So we're going to catch up with them on the road, and we'll find out what's going on with them, and we'll hear from them as they get ready for activity here in the Club World Cup in 2025. So let's run through the promos and run through what you guys have to say this morning. So anything and everything. So morning, Tom. Morning, Sharif. Morning, David. And morning, Abby. Let's see. And so then, all right, so who else am I missing here? It's like you go on one side. Let me put the phone right there because it's going to be like right up against my wrist, and then I'm going to do something up against my phone, and that's going to completely and totally just mess things up. So Okay, so did I miss anybody? No, I think I got everybody who's in with the early conversation pieces. But yep, Tom discussing the goodwill that went goodbye after the mistake by Miggy 3 minutes in. Yeah, David, 2 Champions League blowouts, absolutely true. And yeah, Tom says, I can't believe how bad my Inter was. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, it was Johnny B. Bad. It was Johnny B. Bad. It was pretty bad. And but yeah, obviously it was you credit to PSG, and it was one of those where you mentioned that Luis Enrique is one of the best coaches on the planet right now. And it was a great showing of support from the PSG ultras after the match, where they come up with the tifo, and it's the planting of the flag with his late daughter, and just really cool stuff there that was attached to all of that. But the dominance was attached in and of itself when it comes to what PSG has accomplished in Champions League this year. You look at the all-time, you look at really runs in tournaments, and PSG had a fantastic run, and you got to see the philosophy of Luis Enrique and the pressure that his teams put on their opposition and force you into mistakes. And then when PSG has the ball after they have forced the mistake from you, it is like, Katie bar the door and we're done. It's slam. And Desiree Doué getting a brace, another young player for PSG that can be attached to a great price tag, however many different ways you can put it. But Desiree Doué ending up with a brace in that matchup was another one where you sit there and go, yep, they got young talent, and it's going to be, if PSG keeps the gang together, if they keep the band together, then it's going to be next couple of years, it's going to be PSG is going to be expected and anticipated to be at the top of every competition that they're engaged in. Yes, Liga and McDonald's, obviously, but competitions that they're engaged in, they're definitely going to be in the consideration for favorites to go in any direction that you would see fit. And there's Tom discussing Miggy from the beginning, always trying to convince myself it wasn't just a PR move. He could come in and run riot. Tom is feeling he's incorrect. Abby, Luke Brennan with the U19s. And then you're hoping that Stian is back. We don't have any reports on a comeback timetable for Stian. Whereas Abe was saying it was right on the edge of seeing where Tristan Muyumba is. And it would be one of those where, okay, if Tristan is there, then your midfield is somewhat set with Tristan and Click and Will Riley being the 3 that you would think of off the top of your head. Then you've got to look at, and obviously you're anchored with Derek Williams. You're looking at Brooks Lennon to be a part of your discussion, Pedro Amador. So 3 of your 4 at the back, you've got it figured out. Probably then what you're looking for is your 4th at the back. You are looking at your if you figure it's Will Riley and Mateus Click as your 2 midfielders, like I said, and this is just me thinking out loud. And then you figure Jay might be gone for Trinidad and Tobago. We'll keep an eye on that. And then you're looking at Miguel, who is gone for Paraguay, and trying to figure out what your attack is going to look like. And I think Abe made a solid point about Cayman Togashi. And what we have seen from Cayman with the 2s, then we'll keep an eye on what the attack is going to look like. So that's the biggest thing, is just looking at your international window and seeing who has been called up, and chasing after what you might be seeing or whom you might not be seeing when it comes to the international window. But yeah, so we'll keep an eye out for all of that as we go forward, and check out what this international window is going to look like for everybody that is attached to Atlanta United. Not just Atlanta United, but obviously everybody else that is heading out the door, that's going to be representing their country in this particular activity that we like to call the international window. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. And when the lists come out, you know me and lists. If there's a list that's out, then we'll take a peek at it. But remember, that Major League Soccer is not stopping in this window. You are going to have some friendlies that are going to be attached, and you're going to have some actual matchups that are going to be attached, both on Saturday and on Sunday. DC United Chicago's regular season. Philadelphia is playing Atlas in a friendly, and that's going to be on season pass, by the way. Then you're going to have Colorado hosting Austin on Saturday night. And you're also going to have San Diego playing Club America in a friendly at Snapdragon. That'll be on season pass. Sunday, you've got 3 matches. They're all night side. Portland and all caps, and LAFC and Kansas City, and Vancouver taking on Seattle. Once again, the matchups that were looked at from the international competitions, they got slid a week to go into this window. So you're going to have home matches in DC, and so DC, Chicago in a match that means something. Colorado and Austin in a match that means something, and then the 3 on Sunday: Portland, St. Louis, LAFC, Kansas City, and Vancouver and Seattle. So 5 matches that apply to the regular season standings, in addition to the 2 friendlies of Philadelphia and Atlas, and San Diego and Club America. So we'll keep an eye on those, and we'll obviously we're going to continue to effort our folks from Apple TV in the Hour of Chaos on Friday to break everything down. And so we'll kind of, if we can track somebody in for our 10 o'clock Friday morning slot, then we'll discuss the matchups for the league, in addition to where the league is in this international break, highs and lows and things like that. So that's what we're staring at when it comes to MLS and the weekend. Yeah, Abby, at the time, the Matt Edwards yellow, absolutely necessary. So that's where we are. All right, let's get you into the promos and things, and let you know what we're up to here at SDH, and how you can be a part of the summer of soccer, and how you can continue to give back, as you guys always do. So, and we can't thank you for being a part of the family as you are. Bart Keeler coming up here in about 10 minutes. It is, once again, you see me wearing the retro gear. I found it. I actually washed it, and so I actually got to wear it this morning. So you can go to soccerdownhere.net. You can do your shopping with the new logo and everything. Like I said, I've had this, goodness, how long have I had this? I probably have had this close to 6 or 7 years. And you can get our new gear with the new logo and everything. You can go to soccerdownhere.net, go into the shop section. You can get all the new gear with the new logo. Plus, you can get all of the retrofied logos that Jason has done through artwork that have helped out there. I think it's the Attack and the Ruckus, if I remember correctly. Jason has retrofied those logos. You can get that as a part of our stuff that's going on at soccerdownhere.net. You can go to Olive and York, and you can get our first ever jersey, floppy collar and such. The navy jersey, you can have it personalized in one of 2 flavor patterns. It can be either in white with white letters and numerals to go with the blue floppy collar, or the navy floppy collar. Or you can go with the light blue, Carolina blue, Columbia blue, double blue, whatever you want to call it. And you can get it personalized. Once again, consult with Alex and Abby if you are going to be purchasing one. And then that way you can sit there and see which flavor is best for you. Yeah, and yes, David, I will get into that too. Definitely, I did leave out one statistic. That is the number one. And we'll get into that in a bit before Bart comes in. So go to Soccer Down. You go to Olive and York and get the jersey that helps out the Soccer for Good campaign here in 25. Thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente for being across the front. Our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring for being on one sleeve. Our friends of Soccer for Good being on the other sleeve. You can pick that up at Olive and York, and you can help us out for our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2025. You want to help out Soccer for Good? Middle of August, our friends from the Marshall Islands, they're going to be in Springdale, Arkansas for the first ever Outrigger Challenge Cup, and it is going to be them, the Turks and Caicos, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. And they made their mark in the Kickstarter campaign, but they still need your help to make sure that they can continue to become a true national team, as they are the last team here on this planet to formulate a national soccer program. And so you go and you buy the gear. I've got both the sweat. I've got both of the jerseys. I need to get the other team specific jerseys from the island. But you want to buy everything from the Marshall Islands Project to help them out, you can. You go to their website at the MISF, you go to the store, you can get everything. You'll notice that our Maddie Cruz is modeling the scarf that we collaborated with them on to end a sentence in a preposition. What you can do is you can pick up the scarf, and when you do that, maybe you have Maddie sign it. You can have Maddie sign the scarf considering she modeled it. And what you can do is get that from me. Everything else comes from London, England. The scarf comes from me. It's on the other side of this door. Like I said, I've got about 10 left before I have to do a reorder, which for everybody that gets a certain donation package that's attached to the Outrigger Challenge Cup, the scarf is a part of it. So I don't know how many other folks have been buying those particular packages for Arkansas in mid-August, but the scarf is on the other side of this door. So you get that from me. I see you in person, I hand you the scarf, or I mail it to you. And you can help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation that way. And that will be something else that you can do to help out for Soccer for Good. Speaking of which, our relationship that we have with our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. You can get the Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta gear, and you can get the T-shirt or the sweatshirt. You can get that in red or black. The boss can't wear red, so I wear the red. She wears the black. Gold embossed lettering. Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta. SDH logo on one cuff of the sweatshirt. The Grady Baby logo is on the other cuff of the sweatshirt. And the aid that you are giving there is for middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta Public School System. So very, very cool with our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. Also, what you can do is if you really want to watch soccer around the planet, kind of like me, Jason got me hooked on Fanatis. fntz.co/soccer down here. You can catch our buddy Nino Torres at Gold TV when he's calling matches. You can watch him and the Uruguayan League in South America and the Intermedio and Portugal and all the things on Gold TV. You also get all the BNs, and I mean all the BNs. You get all the BNs, Nuestra Tele, CDO, CDO2, For the Fans, Teise. Who am I missing? I know I'm missing somebody, and it's driving me crazy. I think they've added Tigo, and they've also added Canal 4 through BN to let you enjoy the full Fanatis experience. And so, no, just log me in. I just want to see what channels I'm missing. Right now, they're big into the AFCON Champions League, so you can watch all of those. And yes, I accept. Log in with my account. And am I going to have to? Yes, it is me. Goodness gracious, stop it. This is what happens when you're trying to do something and you're trying to log in. Okay, so I don't want the World Cup qualifiers. No. Right now, South American World Cup qualifiers are in pay-per-view, and Paraguay is going on in the Uruguayan tournament in Liga Pro. All right, so live right now as we speak, it is Teise, Liga 1 Max, League 1, all the BNs, Gold TV in English and Spanish, and Nuestra Tele. Right now, they're live doing programming right this very second on this monitor that I have. My new computer, by the way, right off to my left. Finally got a new laptop. So I'm watching Teise right now on Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. So you can help out through Fanatis. You can help out through the Marshall Islands. You can help out through Grady Baby. You can help out through Olive in York, and you can also become a Fanatico. And what do you do for $10 a year? What do you do for $10 a year, legitimately? Well, what you can do is become a Fanatico at SDH. You get into our through the Chant app. You get access to being a Fanatico. $10 a year. You get a lot of fantastic discounts that are attached to everything going on with our time at SDH. You can chat with other Fanaticos, the gallery and the schedule, and everybody that is attached. Now, we always talk about the partners that are attached. There are a boatload of partners, and a lot of them have to do with breweries and enjoyment establishments. Just to give you an idea. Brass Tap, and this is if you are a Fanatico, and when you go to these establishments and sit there and go, hey, I'm a Fanatico, you get a discount. Brass Tap, Moxie, 20% off hotel food and beverage. So when you go and you hang out with us, when we were doing our shows at the Moxie, you can sit there and go, hey, I'm a Fanatico, and get 20% off a hotel food and beverage when you're there. You can go and hang out with us. South Main in Watkinsville, Schoolhouse in Marietta, Atlanta Hard Cider, Elixir Brewing in both Beaufort and Monroe, Round Trip in East Cobb, Social Fox in Norcross, Keys to Flavor Catering. You get a discount on your first catered event from Keys to Flavor in Sugar Hill. Fido's Midtown, you get 10% off your food tab if you're a Fanatico. O'Sullivan's attached to our time with Decatur FC. And that's another thing that we'll be doing tomorrow. We'll catch you up on what happened on the weekend in the spring and summer divisions, WPSL, and everything else that we touch. Because WPSL, Maddie and Jason were at UFA and Georgia Impact yesterday. In addition to everything that goes on there, Drew and I have been at Decatur FC calling their first home matches of the season. They had a win over UFA Gunners this past weekend. It's great to see Sherry Summers, the chief growth officer for U.S. Soccer. She came and visited us at halftime, and you can go back and listen to that interview with Drew on the WPSL website. O'Sullivan's, you get discounts there as well for being a Fanatico. Lloyd's Soccer, 20% off select Atlanta United gear at the Johns Creek location. Finished Goods in Winder, Slow Pour in Lawrenceville, Outrun in Stone Mountain, Tires Plus in Alpharetta, Dad's Garage, Chateau Arnal, El Castillo, San Ramon, Costa Rica. You get a percentage off a booking with a code. Battle and Brew, Sandy Springs in the Battery, and Wild Leap downtown. You get some discounts there as well. So once again, you can be a Fanatico, and you get $10 a year. Oh, Cardiac Tank RQE. Nothing like welcoming folks back on a Monday and getting a bot. So a Cardiac Tankard QE. You're getting blocked. And a Cardiac Tankard QE, you're also getting reported. So as a bot, you are being reported, and you are being issued a chat message. Let's see. It is a paid solicitation. If I could spell solicitation bot. All right, so there we go. It's viewer solicitation is the word that I usually use. But anyway, all right. So Cardiac Tankard QE has just been blocked and reported. All right, Lokeville. Good morning. And Lokeville's like a sad weekend. Will we ever win there? But you're not alone in that quest. Harrison, New Jersey is a traditionally very, very tough place to play. So you ain't alone if you're an Atlanta United fan trying to win up there at in Harrison, New Jersey at the Ticket Arena that they now are in. And David, you are absolutely true. Left out one internet power outage. Okay, so let me pull back the curtain a little bit. So what I do, and I don't know if you guys do this either, is that when I'm watching a match and I'm here and it's a road match, I'm here in the office or I'm here in the casa, and it is one of those where I'll have and also depends on where it is. But for the most part, what I do is I try to sync up Mike and Jason to television. And it was about a minute off from like live. So the boss and I are watching the match, and literally everything just goes black. And the timer, the clock timer that Apple has, it's still going, but it is just black. And the audio dumped from Mike and Jason at the same time, obviously, since I had it synced, that you saw from the match on Apple. And so I literally was going, oh-ish. And I was wondering how, and I should have asked Abe about this, how it was getting handled by, I want to say, Dom Sharofsky, Abe, and Maddie. And you were wondering what was happening. It dumped, and they go to commercial, and then they come back, and Mike is on the phone. And I give Mike a boatload of credit for thinking that quickly to hop back in and have something akin to a radio call through his cell phone. And literally it was because the internet went out. And I thought that it might have been the entire power grid that went out, but it was just the internet that crapped in the building and came back after a couple of minutes. But you're wondering what is going on with that internet power outage, with the internet outage, and literally everything just goes boom. That is a broadcaster's worst nightmare. That and uttering something that you probably shouldn't have on a hot mic. But anyway. But yeah, when everything just went boom, and you're going, oh my God. And you're wondering what is going to happen here. It was like 3 minutes, I want to say. And that can be the longest 3 minutes of everything in mankind because you're wondering what's wrong on your end. Is it wrong on your end? How do we fix it on my end? And then how do we still get game on and do whatever? So it was, I had so much empathy for Mike and Jason in that moment and for everybody back at Colony Square that you're trying to get everything back online and back on the air, figure out what the problem is. And it was just the internet. It was not it was not the power or anything inside the building because they kept going. But legitimately, it is one of those where my heart sank. My heart sank, and I'm like, oh-ish. How are they going to get this back online? And they did. Like I said, after about 3 minutes, and then it was an opportunity for them to kind of catch their breath a little bit, and it was an opportunity to sit there and just piece everything together and catch their breath for a second. So very, very, oh boy. It was just one of those where you're sitting there going, oh my God. Oh my God. Quick news out of the NWSL. Washington Spirit have promoted Adrian Gonzalez to be head coach effective July 18 in time to start the second half of the season. That reminds me that we've got to try and track down Jen Hildreth before we get to the second half of the season. Jonathan Giraldes will transition over to become the head coach of Lyon in advance of the 25-26 Premier League season in France. Gonzalez joined the Spirit in February 24 as interim head coach, went 10-4-1. Extensive experience, deep familiarity with the club's values and vision. This is from their press release. Prior to joining Spirit, Gonzalez was head coach at Espanyol Femení, where he went 10-4-1 and led the team a promotion to Liga F. Quote from Michelle Kang, quote from Gonzalez. Giraldes leaves behind the culture rooted in elite preparation, tactical clarity, and high performance, raising expectations for what his team can achieve. Quote from Kang, quote from Giraldes. And they wish everyone to thank Giraldes for his contributions and warmly welcoming in Adrian Gonzalez as the new head coach. And yes, good morning, Soccer for Good OG. The fact that Mike came back via phone, pro move, no doubt about it. All right, it is after 10 o'clock. And so that means that since I dropped news on the NWSL, we can ask this next guest about said news in the NWSL. So, Bart, Let's hear it. Let's hear the microphone.
Good morning.
Yay! It's there. All right. So one of the worst kept secrets in the NWSL. Spirit promoting Adrian Gonzalez to head coach as Jonathan Giraldes goes to Lyon.
Mm-hmm.
That officially broke 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, well, first off, we have to ask what Michelle Kang is doing because she owns both of these teams.
Oh, yeah, it's like
that was look. It kind of broke the NWSL WOSO internet because I mean that question was there. What is Michelle Kang doing? But I think, unfortunately for Spirit, the prize, the crown jewel, if you will, is Lyon because of their success commercially in Europe, but also on the field in Europe. And there's also just we don't know what Giraldes wanted from his career or whatnot. You know, maybe he did. I mean, he's Spanish. He's from Spain. Maybe he wanted to move back to the European continent. So we really don't know, John, but I think it is also a blow for the Spirit fans, right? To look at this team and go, oh man, we've lost Trinity Rodman this year due to a back injury that can't go away. We've lost now our head coach, and it's not quite a rebuilding year, but you know they are probably now in a mode of, okay, well, let's just make this year the best we can and figure out what moves we need to make either in the summer or in the offseason to regroup for 2026.
Yeah. And so obviously we've still got a little bit of time before the second half of the NWSL season kicks in, but I want to go back to your field trip and find out what it was like for you. Did you when the U.S. When the U.S. women won their friendly against China, did you guys have to sing Wonderwall as well?
No, we were told we were not allowed to sing Wonderwall because that is a local club tradition and it cannot extend to the national teams. Did we pay the cover band at the bar after the game to play Wonderwall? Yes. So we did hear it on game day in St. Paul, Minnesota, not Minneapolis, St. Paul. But I will say, John, beautiful stadium. Really just a lot of cool, different, unique details that make that stadium feel both old and new. That clock end that they have where the scoreboard, the old school scoreboard, John, where the clock is, you know, keeping track of the time on the field. It is fantastic. It really is a nice stadium. It feels very Minnesota up there. The bar we were at and was literally right across the street from the stadium, and that area has kind of grown up a little bit from what I've been told by the locals. And you know, look, it's always fun to be in a safe standing, tall supporter section, and even better when the U.S. women get a 3-0 win over a pretty bitter rival from the past.
And we'll get into what went down there. Goals by Kat Macario and Sam Coffey and Lindsay Heaps. It is taking me. You're
not the only one, John.
I'm still going Haran.
Sophia Smith is going to be tough because of the alliteration too. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So
at least with like Mal Puda Swanson, I don't love it, but I'm like, okay, well, at least I know her husband.
Yes.
This one is like, wait, you're Sophia Smith. But look, we had Lynn Biondolo also, you know, which props to these ladies for getting married. You know, good for them. Hope they continue to live their best lives and start, if they want, families that, you know, continue to grow the game in this country. But it will take me a little bit to remember that Lindsay Heaps is Lindsay Haran.
Yeah. 17,000 plus, and the way that it was phrased by TLH Theodore Lloyd Hughes at Soccer America, once a great rivalry, now a walk in the park.
Yeah.
Park to be exact. 3-0, perfect response after the 2-1 defeat against Brazil last time out. So was it the perfect response?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like, look, I think the Brazil matches were a real test of this team's character and mettle. And some players failed. Some players did all right. And some players thrived. I don't think that China was particularly bad. But I think what you saw, more importantly, was how dynamic this U.S. attack can be when you have Kat Macario going wherever she pleases, and Lindsey Horan filling in that striker role from the attacking midfield position. You know, you had Michelle Cooper and Alyssa Thompson, who didn't have great 1v1 success, but were able to get in behind really well, which opened up a lot of things for the U.S. Strikers at that point. So defensively, I thought that the U.S. struggled a little bit, especially building out of the back. We can talk about that with Miss Fallon Tellis-Joyce. She had a scary moment, in minute 2. But I think overall it was a good response. Now, I don't think China is, as pointed out, is not the China of old. They're not the team that we saw in the 99 World Cup final, that's for sure. But they are still a formidable opponent and a group of competent soccer players, which unfortunately might not be the same thing we get tomorrow night. To answer your question, Abby, I don't know if anyone knows why it was canceled. I would blame the tariffs.
Yeah. Yes.
I genuinely don't know. When I thought it was canceled, I thought that maybe China had found a friendly with another CONCACAF region team, and it's just they don't have another match planned. But Jamaica's a perfectly fine opponent, I will say, especially when you talk about players who really do fight for their country's. Well, at least maybe not the country, for the badge on their shirt. They may not like the country or the federation, to be quite honest. They're not paying them all that well. But, they fight to get that recognition. And look, it's unfortunate that we couldn't play China twice, but I'm always a proponent of not playing the same team in the same window.
Yes. So you had goal in the 28th with Kat Macario getting number 11 internationally. Sam Crummy gets to go 7 minutes later. Lindsay Heaps with a header. Color me shocked. Lindsay Heaps with a header from Michelle Cooper. USWNT dominating possession, 71-29. Shot count 18-4. Let's go through the grades. And once again, this is TLH's grades from Soccer America. We use this as our baseline for Bart to sit there and go, yay, nay, wrong.
Let me preface this, John, that I was vibing in the stands. So my evaluation is, oh, man, that was fun. But we'll get into it.
So Fallon Tellis-Joyce, 2 saves on the day, edge of the box, no 2 starts, 2 clean sheets for Tellis-Joyce. And Theodore Lloyd Hughes goes more under the microscope as Tellis-Joyce's ability with the ball at her feet. Throughout the match, encouraged to play short in the box. There was a nervy moment in the first when Jin Kuhn almost intercepted. Third goal comes from a weighted long ball from a goal kick. So that she will be pleased with.
Yeah. I think shot stopping is negligent in this particular match. I mean, I don't think her saves that she made were particularly hard, but she made them. I will say that I think, yes, the first moment of, oh, crap, what is going on here? I think that was her first touch on the ball of the game, too. It looked bad, but in her defense, no one was giving her a really clear option of where to pass it.
Yeah.
At least from my viewpoint, which was the opposite goal. And I had another guy who behind me who was also a goalkeeper, and we were both like, whoa, where's her option, type of thing. But after that, John, I thought she was pretty decent. And I think for her, the goal is to not complicate things. Find the first open player and pass it to them. She did have a couple of times where I think she opted for a slightly not riskier ball, but just a longer distribution that didn't quite work out. But I think as she just trains more, she'll get more comfortable. Again, Manchester United doesn't really love to play out of the back. That also may change next year. I don't know what their team is going to look like. They probably don't know what their team is going to look like. It wouldn't surprise me if they try to be a little bit more possession-based, because I think that was kind of their when you look at how they stumbled in the WSL. I had to remember that they didn't change their name. They just changed to a terrible logo. When you look at the WSL, Arsenal and Chelsea are very possession-based, so I think Manchester United thinks being opposite of that is going to work. I don't know if that's true, especially when they are still one of the dominant teams in the league. But anyway, PTJ, I thought she was fine because what are we going to judge her shot stopping for? She didn't have much to do. But possession, I thought, got better after that little moment.
Backline, a practically stress-free afternoon for the backline. Hazel will have been delighted to welcome back Naomi Girma, world's most expensive women's soccer player, slotted in the back with her usual insouciance, natural calm. Damn, I don't need the word insouciance on a Monday morning. Girma completed 123 of 129.
Mm-hmm.
And along her in the middle, Emily Sonnet, Avery Patterson, Crystal Dunn, giving away the ball for China's first shot on goal. Patterson had a nice game. Interplay on the right-hand side showed a lot of potential, sturdy in defense. Sonnet, the only defender not to go 90, being taken off at 70 to give Emily Sams a look. Dunn was quieter than perhaps we're used to seeing, especially against a not particularly threatening opponent, used more as a passer from left back. Patterson given license to roam. So that translates into 6s for Patterson and Girma, 5s for Sonnet and Dunn.
Yeah. Look, like they said, what are you going to judge them on? What are you going to judge defenders on when they didn't have to do much defending? Patterson, I thought, had an up and down game. There were times that she got beat a little too easily, but that was because she was being really aggressive, coming up, especially a lot of times China was receiving the ball with their back to goal, even really high up in the midfield. Our press was really working. Patterson got beat once or twice there, but she also forced turnovers by doing that.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see how Patterson progresses because she can kind of play both sides of the field, which might be something that Emma wants to build up. You know, we didn't see Abello, the other left back who was called into camp. I don't know if we'll see her on Tuesday night or not. I don't know what Emma's plans are for that, but I think Patterson's the one you want to look at because she is the future, if you will, while the others are they're known quantities. I will say that with Emily Sams and Naomi Girma, to me, that is, we just need to keep playing them more. I don't know why we're experimenting with. Look, I love Emily Sonnet. We love a girl from Georgia, but we need to put Girma and Sams together and let them just continue to build that camaraderie, that synergy. Also with Fallon in the back, because to me, that is the back line going forward. And Emily Sonnet is a perfectly fine deputy, but Sams and Girma, let's just play them as much as possible, in my opinion.
There you go. Midfield. Coffee, let's see, as if her brilliant left-footed curling shot to make it 2-0 was magnificent enough.
Beautiful shot.
The dribble and pass to help create the opening goal, equally important. She was everywhere defensively sound with quality passes bursting out of her cleats. The youngster, 17-year-old Lily Johannes, had a really solid outing. Didn't get the same highlight reel moments as her midfield colleagues. Some standout moments, completed 4 out of 5 long balls, always had a keen eye on trying to play behind China's high line. Lindsay Heaps, best summed up by the header to kill off the game in the second half. Exactly the sort of area Heaps thrives in. As the play transitions quickly, she knows how to time her run to perfection, reads Cooper's cross with aplomb. Great to see Heaps used as a late-run direct threat, now tied with Alex Morgan for the second most headed goals on the WNT since 2015 with 13, behind Carly Lloyd, who has 21. So it translates from TLH into an 8 from Sam Coffey, a 6 from Lily Johannes, and a 7 from Lindsay Heaps in her 166th cap.
I thought Sam Coffey had probably her best game for the women's national team completely, and it was nice to see. Lindsay, to call her a midfield is like, I don't know if that's true. She was playing as a 10. I want to take a moment on Lily Johannes because watching her live and in person, a 6 feels very low but I agree with the overall critique of she didn't have any highlight moments, but by God, John, everything she did was just so smooth, so silky. Ball winning, ball progression, dribbling, passing. It was, I don't want to say effortless because that just diminishes what the work she's doing, but it's just so smooth and so smart. And I'm just really glad we get to watch her on our team.
Forwards. One of the only complaints one can have at the forward line is that they really should have scored more goals.
Yeah.
Alyssa Thompson, Michelle Cooper ran riot throughout the match, finished the game with just 1 assist each. Thompson, unlucky not to score in the build-up, took Macario's goal and had another half chance in the first half where Li Mingwen slid in to deny a certain goal. Even with the poor luck, she still managed tied most key passes with 3 in her 57 minutes. Diagonal runs particularly impressive. Similarly, Cooper was a constant threat. Patience on the cross for Heap's header, another reminder of how improved her passing has been in 2025. 2 big chances created, shot went just the wrong side of the post before halftime. Arguably the player of the match, Macario involved in all 3 goals, scoring the first, second, crucial headed flick on at midfield in the build-up for the third. Incredibly effective when in the box against China, always making the right decision. Could have had a second goal if her sniped effort didn't just fly over the bar in the first half.
I think, again, you see how much losing Kat Macario for the 2023 World Cup affected the team. And again, we can criticize Vlatko for not having a backup plan, but the reality is there's no replacing what Kat Macario does for a team. And every time she steps on the field now, she is the best player for the U.S. women's national team. Like, that is just a fact. And I thought she was just so good at moving on and off the ball. The fact that she was so involved in all 3 goals is really nice. The third goal obviously is kind of a right place, right time, but she had to put herself in that place because she could have easily given up on it because Thompson probably should have scored. But she was magnificent today, or yesterday, Saturday. What year is it, John? Good Lord.
Right there with you on a Monday, bro.
Thompson, I agree with David. Thompson is just so fun to watch because she's so quick and fast, right? Obviously, if you don't know, those are 2 different qualities. Quick and fast are 2 different qualities. You can ask Jason about that. Yeah. And she's both of those, right? And I think that is where Michelle Cooper is very, very fast, right? She can blow by someone, but quickness is not her strength. But both of them did a good job of getting into the cutback cross zone as opposed to just crossing in balls from the outside the box. No Brooks Lennon crossing on the day. We got players into the box. I think what you could criticize is maybe their cutbacks weren't as precise as I needed to, but that also is a little bit of, and I was watching them directly because most of that action was right in front of me. They're getting their heads up to look. So I just think that maybe they need to be smarter about, like, don't pass, literally as simple as don't pass to where they are, then pass to where they're going to be. But also kind of understanding a little bit better where Macario, Heaps, and even Coffee are going to be inside the penalty area will help them as they go along, because I think they're crossing the ball into a good spot, but not necessarily where the players are. But they were fun to watch. I'm not sold on Cooper being a starter for this team, but I'm very sold on Alyssa Thompson being the starter for now. And who knows what happens when Swanson and Rodman and Smith come back, what this front line looks like. Because I don't think Triple Espresso exists with Kat Macario in the mix. And Alyssa Thompson's making a case that she should be part of this conversation as well.
Cooper and Thompson, TLH gave 6s. Kat Macario gets an 8. Substitutes. And this was one of the cool stories that was attached to the match.
Mm-hmm.
History-making debut for Lola Bonta. 32 years old, oldest player ever to make a debut for the WNT when she came on for the final 20. Completed all 11 passes in her cameo. Obviously not a whole lot else to show from the subs because it's 3-0 at this point. But LaBonta goes 11 for 11 passing, coming in at the age of 32. Biggest threat was Lin Biendolo, forced to save from Pan Hongyan in China's net, caused a yellow card when Wu Haiyan decided to pull her shirt on a breakaway. Emma Sears, nice crosses, pace offering up room to run. So Ali Sentner, Emma Sears, Emma Sams, Lin Biendolo, La Labonta, Olivia Moultrie, all getting 5s from TLH.
Yeah, let's just talk about Lola Bonta for a second, because this is the story of the window even. She has been a beloved player in NWSL for as long as she's been playing in NWSL, and I think she's beloved for like multiple reasons. I think one is she clearly is a very good teammate, and I'll talk about that in the evaluation of her on this team. But she's very clearly a very good teammate. Everyone who plays with her loves her, but she's, a celebration queen. We know that. And she seems to just get, I don't know why, because obviously she's funny, she's charismatic, but like she seems to just resonate with fans a whole lot. And she's always been she's a good player, but never a like, oh, she's a national team player. Now, part of that could be maybe the national team coaches beforehand weren't truly evaluating her for all of her qualities. Or, I think in the past couple of years, she's stepped up her game as well. And which is a lot to say. At 32, she's still improving. I think that is a testament to her work ethic. We saw her kind of leading the pack of the NWSL off-season content that they've had in the past couple of years. And I think that's just a really good exemplifier of why she got picked by Emma Hayes, because I think if you're looking at someone, just go with me here on a 2-year journey, sure, right? Where you're going into Brazil for 2027. You need someone who is not afraid to tell other players, we got to step it up, but not just tell them, but also do that in training, right? And I think that is the type of player that Lo is she may not be a great on-field contributor to the national team, right? I don't know where she fits in when you look at our starters and then like our immediate backups. Now, she did fine against China, so I'm not going to criticize her game from this game because she did fine. Yeah. But if you're telling me that you're bringing in Lola Bonta to be a powerful voice in the locker room, an intense competitor in training, those are two qualities that you got to have on a national team to raise everyone else's game. And if that's what she does, if she makes all of her teammates around her better, that's the type of player and voice you need on a national team.
So U.S. now has won 12 straight in Minnesota, third longest active winning streak in any state. Texas 35, New York 13. Next up, Jamaica in a friendly at Energizer Park in St. Louis on Tuesday. Other news on the tour, the U20 Women's World Cup squad qualified, knocking off Puerto Rico 3-1. So they now qualify for the 2026 U20 Women's World Cup in Poland next September. So high marks once again for the U20s as they qualify for the World Cup next year in Europe.
Yes, they did. Sorry. I
mean, look,
they better.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I think what you're staring at here is that it was an anticipated result and no messing around. That's what you ended up with at the end of the day.
I mean, honestly, John, that's what it is. The U.S. women need to be at all the youth tournaments and need to be competing to win trophies at all U.S. Youth tournaments. I think we talked about this at the end of last year when we had the U17s and 20s both not win, but make a final or make a third place and win that one. That's what you want. So great. God, we qualified. Yeah. I don't like that we have qualification a year and a month before the tournament, but
yeah,
I don't work for CONCACAF, John. If I did, things would make sense.
Just a little further that way in the calendar. MNT training camp getting ready up in Chicago. DeJuan Jones, Sean Zawatsky, Claren Balogun out, lower body, knee, and ankle. And so Balogun, obviously,
basically our legs are screwed is what I got out of that.
Yeah. It's been 2 years since he was number one choice at center forward. Now Walker Zimmerman, Paxton Aronson, Nathan Harriel in with those three that are out.
So I'm going to be very harsh. I did not understand why Sean Zawatsky was anywhere close to this national team. So I'm glad Paxton's here. I think Paxton earned it. Zawatsky is just a dude who happens to have Poch's phone number. So, I think that has been the frustration with this roster. And I think calling in, at least with Paxton, a guy who's earned it. Zimmerman, actually, I don't have a problem with. I think, he's someone who I'm surprised hasn't been a little bit more involved with the national team after coming back from injury. But, it is what it is. I think actually he's the replacement for Balogun. They're going to start playing him at striker because we've seen him do that a time or 10 in MLS,
Zimmerman returns May 24th after missing almost 2 months with the nasty collision. It was in the Charlotte match. That now gives Pochettino 5 center.
So that wasn't a red card, John? Or are we just like crying about red cards if someone gets injured? Is that
yeah?
Is that what we do now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's only an Ohio thing. Got it. Okay.
Yes.
It's what happens when you eat too much Skyline chili.
Oof. Just look. Just go to Steak Shake and get a chili three-way. Then you're fine. Pochettino now has 5 center backs. Zimmerman has played 43 times for country, all 4 matches at the World Cup in 22. Last appearance with the A squad was in Nations League in 23. Paxton Aronson, you mentioned him returning to Eintracht Frankfurt next season after being on loan in the Eredivisie, where he had 8 and 4 for Utrecht. He joins his brother Brendan for the first time together on the senior squad, as well as Quinn Sullivan and Jack McGlynn. Nathan Harriel could play both right back and center back. 7 homegrown graduates on the USMNT roster, originally from Chargers out of Clearwater, started for the U.S. at the 24 Paris Olympics.
Yeah, I will say I think Harriel is a guy who I wouldn't be surprised if I've been surprised he hasn't had more time with the national team. I do think he's a little bit limited. Also, Alex Freeman should and will be starting the Gold Cup games. Let's test him out. I will say the hot take I heard after this roster, and this is from Joe Lowry from Backheeled and Total Soccer Show, was that Alex Freeman is a better soccer player than Joe Scally, who, as you know, has been a mainstay for Borussia Mönchengladbach in the Bundesliga for several years now. So interesting take, but excited to see what that does, what he does in the Gold Cup, because he sure as hell didn't do nothing against Atlanta, John. There we go.
Oh, wow. You're just dropping it. So
listen, we won 2 games. Let's get excited. And luckily, John, I didn't have to watch the game on Saturday. I did watch the replay because we got to talk about a thing that happened in that one.
Yeah, we got to talk about a thing. So outside of the 3 plays that I had earmarked, did you have anything to bring to the table? Or did you
No, John, I was watching women's soccer all weekend. And yeah, so I'm glad I texted John last. I'm like, what do I need to talk about? I knew the play from the Atlanta United game because obviously I did watch the highlights. I was like, oh, yeah. Then I'm happy to dig into that.
Yes, and I think that's what. So I have 3 plays earmarked for cards and calls, and we'll go ahead and lead off with what was called by Timothy Ford.
I'm going to need you to walk me through this, John, because everyone knows, I think, the play we're talking about, the offside goal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand and I'll run through the process from a referee perspective on the field.
Yes.
But I'm not sure what was being reviewed.
I'm guessing it was offside in the play in and of itself. I think that's what we're staring at.
Derek, walk me through the information you have, because I have tried. Okay.
All right. So so I'm going to find the play, but the rights police got into it with us last time. So, all right. So there's the first goal. Fast forwarding even further. Come on.
It's minute 55.
Yeah. So it's the 55th minute. So, okay. All right. So it was in the 56th, 57th minute, set piece, and it was referred to as being offside. So, all right. It was at the moment of impact by Miranchuk on the kick in and of itself. So I'm guessing, and I'm staring at the still. It's because, like I said, the rights police.
I looked at the still the whole time too, John.
And so you have a wall of several, and Miranchuk is going to send the ball over the wall, and I'm guessing that it is, as I have it locked in. So for those who want to kind of follow along, I will give the link to the video that we are discussing. Morning Forecard.
This is great radio.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's even more fantastic television. All right, so go here. The link is in the chat. So, and it is at the still of the video that we're looking at is literally at 3:41 in the video. So what I am guessing is that at the moment of impact by Miranchuk, they're looking at Derek Williams, who is ahead of the play. I will not dispute that Derek Williams is behind the back line that has been set by Red Bulls. But as impact is made, Derek Williams, if I'm not mistaken, as the player of choice, is nowhere active in this particular play as the ball goes well over his head to the back post and is knocked in by ATLUTD.
Who was not offside or involved in any of the offside that could possibly happen. So,
Right.
John, I think my question is, right, David brings up a good point in the chat, but I can see that, but we don't call that offside in these scenarios. Like, that's not there wasn't an interference where, I think we've talked about this with Premier League seasons, where it's not like the attacker fouled or pushed, right, a defender.
Yeah.
This was a normal, from my point of view, a normal set piece defensive action.
Yeah.
And you're not calling a guy offside because, oh, well, the defender had to know where he was. That's not the application here. Now, I couldn't see like anyone fall down or be pushed or blocked, right? There was no, big man screen set up either. And so I understand what you're saying, but there was no evidence of that, right? I am confused. I am fully on confused. And I think what I'm confused by is Derek Williams, to me, is very clearly onside. When the ball is kicked,
yes,
he is onside.
Saba and Sleesh are the two.
They're offside, right? And that's what you're looking at. And I think even, I forget who the next player in between Sleesh and Williams is, because there's another player who I think maybe could be possibly offside. But definitely Sleesh, definitely Saba, offside. Which, to be fair, is kind of their job in this role. They are in, like, literally by design stretching this back line, right?
Yeah.
To hopefully get their defender to move toward the goal a little bit, so that the guys whose job is actually just head the ball.
Okay. So
get the ball.
So it's Saba and Sleesh on the near side of the wall,
and they're offside.
So then Derek is going in. He makes first contact.
Yep.
And
he is not offside.
And Miggy is Miggy is the player behind Derek, away from the net itself at the far post, at the edge of the 6 and the end line.
So also not offside.
And so then it ends up with the slam dunk opportunity as Bart is chasing, and ATLUTD goes in and puts it in slam dunk. And it should have been.
What bothers me, John?
Yes.
2 things. 1, referee should not have put their flag up.
Mm-hmm.
This is very clearly a bad call by the AR. Mm-hmm. Like, bad call by the AR.
Right.
But he definitely shouldn't have put his flag up, because if you look at that still, I'll tell you one thing, that AR is not on that line at all. And that, to me, is the problem here, is why is the AR putting his flag up, period.
Mm-hmm. And
that is a bad piece of refereeing by that assistant referee, because he was not keeping up with the line, and then he put his flag up. Mm-hmm. That is bad. And so we need to address that part first before going to VAR, who, I don't know, like, I mean, look, again, do we have a directly down the line angle? No, and that's the problem, right? Because when you call them offside, but even still, I'm looking at this going, there's no possible way that Derek Williams is in an offside position when the ball is kicked.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. Mm-hmm. There are multiple players or multiple defenders that are closer to the goal than he is. And including the one that I think is marking him, by the way.
Yeah.
And because as an AR, you were out of position, you have VAR. Mm-hmm. Why did you put your flag up?
Yeah.
That is a bad piece of refereeing there.
Yep. And we welcome Jared into Cards and Calls. Batting leadoff is the what should have been 2-1. And heavy sigh from Jarrett to bat leadoff in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then you go from go ahead, Jared.
So I caught the tail end of Bart, and actually this is what I wanted to talk to him about, because I don't think he was off either. My biggest complaint was the AR putting their flag up in what is effectively a 50-50 situation, when everything we've been told is that ARs are taught to let that sequence play out.
Yes.
Because you can go back with VAR. Now, my thing with it was, I agree, I don't think he was off. But because the camera is not down the line, I understand why if they went to VAR, they said, I can't tell definitively if he's on or off
Correct.
because we're not down the line.
Correct.
I think they got it right in the sense that they didn't overturn it, because I think if they had let it stand, there was not enough to say he was definitively off. So whatever call was made on the field should have stood, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think they got that part right. I think VAR was correct in reaching out and saying, you need to look at this. I'm not sure he's off. And I think if they looked at it and said, I can't tell, I cannot say definitively whether he is on or off, and we have to stick with the call on the field, fine. I still think they spit the bit the AR spit the bit and got antsy for whatever damn hell reason he decided to get antsy.
And again, Jarrett was not in position to make the call. That
No.
was when you look at that screen grab of the still, which bad technique. I'm sorry. You're in a set piece situation. You should not, you had a sedentary line that took 2 steps, and you were somehow still 3 steps behind everything. That's bad.
Yeah, it was complicated too, and it's one of those things that are like, I want the league, and this is a thing for the league, this is a thing for broadcast, it's a thing for pro to discuss, and this is not like a coming down on pro any more than we already do. I would love for them to find a way to be faster to tell us what exactly is being checked in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not thinking, is this, are we checking Derek? Are we checking another player? Are we checking to see if somebody who was off interfered with the play? Which is what you checked in the Orlando game, because the first Orlando goal was real damn close, if you go back and watch it, to being an interference where a player was offside, ducked at the last second.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, are we checking that? Are we checking if a defender intentionally played the ball? What are we looking at here? Oh, we're looking at Derek? Okay, well, no one told us that until, somebody on the broadcast could be asked to do it. So, make that more obvious for us as to what it is you're checking. Anyway, yeah, I didn't like the call. That doesn't change anything about one of your DPs basically lobbing a grenade into the foxhole 3 minutes into the game.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Can I say one thing about that though?
Sure. Go for it.
Okay. We all know I'm not a huge fan of this player, but I do think Luis Abram was too disconnected from the rest of his defenders and kind of wasn't in a great position, just basically wasn't in a great position to be an option for a passing. That said, Miggy probably doesn't need to hit that pass.
Or if you do, you need to put a lot more weight on it and be aware of the surface.
Yeah.
On.
Yeah. That is Atlanta United right now. We love to give up the stupidest goals possible. I forget who tweeted it out, but there's a video on the internet
it's like
the
2 minutes of stupid goals being surrendered by this team. And that's just this
Jarrett,
year.
the dumbest goal. Yeah, and right. That is just 15 damn matches in the season. What is going on?
This is okay. So I'm going to pull this thing off onto a gravel road for a minute.
I'm shocked, sir.
Well, at least it's gravel.
One of the things that makes me optimistic when you talk to Ronnie Dyla is how much he seems to hate any of the passiveness about it. So this is my personal black helicopter. This is just me speaking, editorializing. Thoughts and comments do not reflect Atlanta United, do not reflect soccer down here. Whatever.
Okay.
I think Doug's interview where Garth's pretty much like, yeah, Ronnie's safe. Like we're not firing another manager, 15 games into his tenure. My black helicopter is that he went, I have job security. well, I'm going to stop being nice to people, because
Yeah.
there was so much positivity, even in the dark times early on in the season where, he's like being the rah-rah guy. I know people got upset about his comment about like, we welcome this because, like now we have a chance to rebuild ourselves, and now we have a chance to dig ourselves out of this and become better. I think after that happened, he became the kangaroo who threw down the bouncy ball and said playtime is over. Bartosz Schließ has responded to this beautifully, by the way, by trying to kill half of the people on the field. And Mateusz Klich has responded to this by trying to goat the other half onto the field into a red card. God bless them both for it.
Yes,
Which is exactly what you need from a 6 in this league. If your 6 is not wanted for in multiple states for murder, then you're not playing this game correctly in MLS.
I agree.
I'm just saying.
I mean, just saying. So you're staring at that, but yes.
Okay, Airborne.
The
idea you don't pass across your goal is, I understand that is one of the earliest things you learned in defending, but unfortunately you are older than I am, and I was taught that, and that has gone away.
I think Abram was. I honestly think Abram didn't expect him to play that ball because he's a sane human being. And he was like, he won't do. Oh, Jesus Christ! He played that ball across. I have to haul ass.
Yeah. Which I think is indicative of the rest of the problems we have in this team, where they go, "Oh, I'm playing on this team sometimes," and they forget and check out of games. But I agree. I don't think Miggy should not have passed that ball to him.
No, I think he was like, Miggy's going to push this up the field, or hey, we're playing Red Bulls. Just get rid of it. Make them carry the moment. And instead, he plays that ball, and Abram's just kind of like, why would you do that?
Yep.
Like, I'm prepared for a lot of things. I wasn't prepared for that. Man, I don't know. Like,
I feel bad for him because he's been decent for the past month. But
Abram?
Bram.
Yeah.
He's been the guy that I've been the least problems with as a defender. But it's not his fault. Miggy, what do you?
Anyway, my gravel road here being my black helicopter is that I still think that when he got that vote of confidence, playtime officially ended because he has been fire and brimstone with everyone since then. Because I asked him about Bartosz Schließ like turning into basically a shit kicker for the last 2.5, 3.5 matches, and he's like, "Oh no, he's got more in there. I want to see more. I want to see him angrier. I want to see him fight more." Like, great, I love this. Please, because you need a cultural sea change like nobody's business, and I think if you can get that through, and look, I'm of the belief that if you can't get it through with these players, find me new players, because these players have gone through multiple managers now. Just like open the shining elevator of blood on the summer window if you have to. I think a cultural sea change in that respect would help out with so many of those moments where we just look disengaged or it's a sloppy moment. And I don't know if it's just raw intensity. I don't know if it has to just be fighting, but something has to kick into gear. And I am hoping that now that he has had that vote of confidence and has apparently decided to tune up everyone under the sun, I'm hoping that those moments might start to vanish a bit, if for no other reason, fear for one's own self-preservation as a player.
Mm-hmm. So there you go.
Yes, Ramirez at Philadelphia through 2019 through 2022 is it's a Bart's point. That is perfect. You need that 6, and Schließ has been giving you that. Like, Schließ has been
also
playing
the father part. Maybe he said, "Oh, he announced the baby," and I think that maybe is also what kicked. I mean,
it worked for Saba last year, man. Saba's entire persona not totally changed. There was a visible shift when you would talk to Saba after he became a dad, and it happens, man. Sometimes it just happens.
Absolutely true. Moment number 2 that I wanted to discuss with you, Bart.
We're an hour. We're 50 minutes into this.
Anyway. Well, to be fair, I did detour you for 20 minutes.
Well, we needed the detour.
That's fine. Element number 2 comes to us from LAFC and Club America. 60th minute. and there was some doubt about calling the studs from LAFC into the player as he was entering the box for Club America. It eventually would be the first goal of the match from the spot, but it is at 1 minute and 20 seconds into this video where it is a pass that goes back to a player off of a ricochet, wants to line up and fire, and then you end up with a defender for LAFC basically going studs into the shin.
Mm-hmm.
This one, to me, got more discussion.
And LAFC argued.
Yes. And this one for me seemed to get far more discussion about, is it? Than, no, it is. So this one to me seemed like a no.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I think the referee not making this call in the moment was a little bit of a miss. Like, to be quite honest, it looked very much like, what are you talking about? That's a foul.
Uh-huh.
The only thing I can think of is he was way more attuned with the shot itself than the immediate aftermath. But yeah, you look at this, it's like, yeah, it is a foul, right? I won't. It is a foul. That's just what it is, right? I think the player does get the yellow card for the defender gets the yellow card for it.
Yeah.
It's not dog show or anything like that. It's a foul. It's a yellow card. I don't think it's red card worthy just because of it's not serious foul play or violent conduct. It's not like he went straight into the knee, right? He was very clearly attempting to block a shot. He just missed. And that's what happens. Look, if you put your leg out in the penalty area, you're taking that risk. Mm-hmm. I agree. I thought as soon as you looked at it, you go, yeah, that's a foul. Okay. And even in the moment, again, I think the referee missed it, but when you're watching it from the angle of the TV, you go, maybe not. And then you immediately see the replay, you go, oh yeah. And so I agree. I thought the English language highlights were very like, yeah, that's a foul. What else are you supposed to? It's a foul that happens to be in the penalty area. It's a penalty kick.
Yes.
I think some people would argue maybe that, the kick had already happened and the ball had been shot, right? You still can't kick someone in the knee. And because it wasn't an effort to block that shot, that's still part of that action. It's a foul. You have to call it. It's in the penalty area. Therefore, you have to call a penalty kick.
Yeah. Then the third one that I wanted to break down with you was from the chaos that happened yesterday afternoon. And I imagine that you were probably flying back.
I was. And also watching a baseball game because go Mountaineers.
Yes. And now that you've advanced to the Super Region.
Hey, somebody had to not choke away their regional.
Oh, God.
There are a lot of teams.
Wait, are we talking about Vanderbilt or UGA?
Where would you like me to start here?
Texas? I think they're still alive.
UGA was my favorite because, as Tom talked about, it's one of the first things you're taught is not to pass the ball like sideways. One of the first things you experience in baseball when you get out of like little league is late innings, narrow lead. What's the first thing you don't do? You don't walk a guy on 4 pitches. You don't let that leadoff runner on because everybody tightens up defensively. In the dugout, in the bullpen, everyone tightened up. That UGA pitcher could not find a map, could not find his own ass if he had a map and a voice guide. He could not get the ball over the plate until he got a 96-mile-an-hour fastball over the inside corner that got deposited 420 feet away.
Yep.
Don't walk the leadoff guy, Georgia.
No.
Also, Georgia had a chance to put that game away in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings and chose not to do it. But yes, we can make fun of Vanderbilt. We can make fun of Georgia. We can make fun of Clemson. Clemson had
Texas.
7 errors in that game.
Texas. I'm not gonna lie.
Meep, y'all.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Kind of rough for Georgia to not even make the regional final, though. In your host, right?
Vanderbilt's the first number 1 seed to not make their regional final, and that's amazing to me. That made me so happy
not a
to laugh
fan,
at.
So.
Yes. So when you have Vandy out, Clemson out.
Again, Clemson made 7 errors yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I mean, look, Kentucky their bats were hot, but you can't make that many errors.
No. That's just it. You can't go into a regional and make that many errors. You cannot.
Yeah.
You're going to lose.
No.
Congratulations, you've lost.
Yeah, and Bart, I did see, and I'll have to find it and send you the email, that someone actually is marketing retro West BGV baseball jerseys from the 90s that just have the gold W and the interlocking V.
Mm-hmm.
Is it home field?
It might be home field, yeah.
I think it's home field because, look, we all loved that logo. The problem is our baseball program was on life support
Bad.
for most of the 90s and 80s and 90s, to the fact that my dad's Fairmont State University team would beat up on WV on occasion.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
they just weren't good.
Wow.
I mean, I think they beat him twice while he was there. And that was a while ago.
Yes. But yeah.
So yeah, I think the problem was that great baseball logo, terrible baseball being played with that logo. It doesn't have quite the love that we would associate with it. But I gotta be honest, man, it looks great. The uniforms, I think college baseball uniforms have come a long way, and they look like great. I mean, most of them look like great baseball uniforms. I mean, they are fun, and I think WVU's got some good one.
Yes.
Tennessee's got some decent ones. Chapel Hill's got some nice ones. So
I love
that's the
Wake
fun
Forest.
part of these.
Throwback vibes.
Forest is great. Yeah, Wake Forest has got some great uniforms. Like, that's the fun part about these super regionals. You get to see like all these uniforms on display, mainly because you're playing possibly 3 to 5 games in a weekend, so you got to wear all your uniforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have don't also, you want to make fun of somebody. LSU hosts Little Rock today for a one-off.
Yes.
Neither one of them have any pitching left. Like, Little Rock was changing guys in the middle of at bats because they have no gas in the tank.
Yeah.
Oh, Game 7s. We love them so much.
We might see LSU get part of that elimination. Also, Ole Miss part of that elimination. I would be highly amused.
Well, but remember,
I am Team Chaos when it comes to the regionals. That's all I want.
But remember, the transfer portal is also open now when it comes to baseball. So you magically
Mississippi State announced their new hire like 5 minutes after they got eliminated. I'm not joking. Yeah. It was maybe 5 minutes.
It came from Virginia Tech, and so you might see magically some folks wander over from LSU Shreveport who end up portaling to LSU to help them out to get out of the regional. I'm just saying. And by the way, LSU Shreveport went 59-0 in NAIA, and they ran the table in college baseball, longest win streak in a season ever. LSU Shreveport Pilots. The third moment, Bart, that I wanted
to hear that much about Shreveport on a Monday, John.
That's LSU Shreveport.
Shreveport is practically a different state.
Yes, it's like Southern Arkansas.
Jared, it might be a different planet.
True. Might be true.
That Northern Louisiana is.
I was trying to be nice.
Yes. So the third one, the third moment that I wanted to discuss, Bart, is probably more philosophy than anything else. And it has to do with the chaos that happened in the second half of Minnesota and Seattle yesterday. And it is where Anthony Marcanic from Minnesota ends up getting a yellow card in the 69th minute. Nice. And then he ends up fouling like instantaneously, and it was a worse foul than the first foul that gave him the yellow. Mm-hmm. Basically, it was a grab around the waist and basically a waist lock takedown tackle that did not earn him an instantaneous second yellow, which gave Eric Ramsey the opportunity to swap him out for Kelvin Yeboah instantaneously, and preserved the fact that he just had the yellow card and did not pick up the second yellow card, which could have changed the tenor of the match because it was 3-1 at that point. Mm-hmm. And 13 minutes later, mm-hmm. Seattle scores to make it 3-2, but somewhere in there, had Marcanic been given the second yellow, I think that the tenor could have changed even more. I guess my question for you in this is, when it comes to going back-to-back and trying to go card quickly, how difficult a decision is that for a ref to do when it seems to the naked eye and to those of us that it's an obvious thought of, I probably should do it, but you don't?
Well, I think that's the problem, is that he let the look, the players sometimes decide these things for themselves. And so I agree with you that if you're going to commit a yellow card foul, which I think the first foul was fairly a yellow card, And then your second, like after that, you've got to just know, right? And this wasn't 5 or 10 minutes later. It may have been within 5 minutes. I forget exactly how many minutes.
Less than 2.
It wasn't very. It was close, right? It was his next foul. It may have actually been the next foul of the game. I got to
it was
actually watch it. It was.
Yeah,
I was like, I got to watch. I haven't.
Yes,
watched,
he shotgunned those
that.
fouls one after the other. Like
I was like, I didn't watch. I didn't watch it that scrupulously.
If you told me a player bet on himself to get sent off,
I mean, that's what
it would look like.
Yeah, especially because I think the foul that he didn't get booked for, is like a more textbook yellow card. Like that was a textbook yellow.
The waist lock takedown.
It's a rugby tackle.
Yeah, exactly. And if I'm not mistaken, it was kind of in a transition moment.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
guess you could.
Going into the final third.
Possibly could be a stopping a promising attack. I think the ref missed.
Yeah, Lucas Zapala. Yeah, Lucas Zapala.
I think he missed that. Look, he called the foul, but that is a yellow card, I think. Now, granted, I understand a lot of times, you may think, oh, I called the foul and you're managing other things. You may not immediately think about the yellow card, but that is one of those where as a ref, you should be trained to think on a number of levels. Your brain should have triggered that's a yellow card. And I think the problem is it was a yellow card foul and a yellow card situation, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't talk ourselves out of that. If it's a bad challenge in midfield where it's a 50-50 ball, okay, you can kind of be like, have another conversation, like, hey, man, remember that time, a minute ago where I came over to talk to you and gave you a yellow card? Let's not do that again, type of thing. This one is, he just missed it. He did. And to your point, John, it does, at least it may not change the match state at that point.
Yeah.
Because everything will be same, but it does take away from the rest of the match and going that this probably should have been a red card and Minnesota should have been defending with 10 men. Now, would Seattle have won? I don't know. We can't extrapolate that, but it definitely did affect the rest of the match because you should have probably given a red card here.
And so that was why that was the third one that popped into my head as I was watching it yesterday with the chaos in the second half in Seattle.
Also, to your point from the LAFC fiasco, you had another one like that yesterday, where Minnesota gets and I want to because we critique so much about calls. I wanted to give flowers.
Oh, their penalty kick goal.
Yeah, from Minnesota.
Yeah,
perfect. Like in the sense that like for Seattle, he's not trying to be malicious. He's trying to get to the ball first. He doesn't get to it first. Referee correctly points to the spot. They go to the monitor. No, this is fine. Or I'm sorry, they didn't go to the monitor. They went to audio check. Yeah. Like as much as we like critique, I do want to shout them out because I thought they handled that beautifully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
got it right.
Yeah.
They waited a second to check to make sure nothing was missed. Then they went quickly with it. It was great. 10 out of 10. Good job, everybody.
Yep. All right, so Bart, what is Soccer for USPod looking like?
Well, luckily the non-recording last week, obviously things changed. Didn't record last week for personal reasons, and now luckily that means that we have all the roster changes that have happened to talk about the roster for the upcoming men's friendlies. I think if we can record on Wednesday, which I think is the plan, we will be able to also talk about the women's friendlies, and I'll share more thoughts about my time in Minnesota, including a stadium that, well, I understand why it was built too small. It's still built too small, but it's really cool and really pretty, and Minnesota people are fun, and I've never encountered that many craft or local beers in my life, but I've enjoyed every single one I drank.
Yes, and I'm hoping that you got to avoid the state bird of the state of Minnesota, otherwise known as the mosquito. Yeah. Quoting our buddy Jeff Kassouf, Joe Montemurro departs Lyon, goes to Australia for the WNT gig there. Then you have Giraldez announced at Lyon and Adrian Gonzalez.
I will say a bit of a coup there. Now, I know Lyon did not achieve Champions League success, but they won every other cup, I think, in France, if I'm remembering correctly. They at least won the league. That is big for Australia to get Joe Montemurro, a pretty darn good club coach. Again, if you don't remember, he was rumored for the U.S. women's job before we got Emma, and I was kind of team Joe Montemurro because he is a pretty darn good coach. He's won at least the league everywhere he's gone his past couple stops. So good hire from Australia to get a native son to coach their national team.
Yep. And one
So
other
who
piece.
who wants Ange then?
Woo. Woo.
Honestly, I think Ange would be a great pickup for a national team
Mm-hmm.
who needs a coach within the next year for the World Cup.
Yeah,
I do too. You will never. Obviously, it did not work at Spurs at all, except for winning a European Cup, which is hilarious.
Look, it's not his fault. Spurs are Spurs, and they won a European Cup in the worst game of soccer that's ever been played.
Daniel Levy is. You'll never convince me he's not the problem.
Yeah, I think he just has like a. I don't. I'm not gonna.
It feels like the Cleveland Browns.
yeah, yeah. So is Daniel Levy
Like-
Jimmy Haslam?
Slippin' Jimmy, yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I think Ange could be fine. He was doing fine in the places he went before he tried to conquer Spurs, and
At the very least, he will get a good job at a. Maybe he won't get a job in England next.
Oh yeah.
He'll get a job somewhere, at least on the continent. I could see him going to a. I could maybe possibly see him going to a Bundesliga club. To be quite honest,
I can promise you that everyone in Glasgow would wake up in the middle of the night, take Brendan Rodgers' bed, throw it out in the rain, and lock the gate and change the locks if it meant they could have Ange back tomorrow.
Yeah, put him out in the middle of the lake like they did the camp leader at Camp North Star at the end of Meatballs. Just do that. Try and make sure that he doesn't make his way back to shore.
I would do it too because Brendan Rodgers makes my feelings hurt every day.
Yes. One other thing that our buddy Jeff Kassouf has mentioned, Bart, that you might want to file away for Soccer for USPOD. Earlier this week, Mexico said it would be a co-host of the 2031 Women's World Cup alongside the U.S., likely with other CONCACAF nations, but FIFA and the Fed have not said anything. So Jeff Kassouf.
Yeah. If you remember my conspiracy theory when it was announced, Mexico had not said anything. So what it does still sound like is it'll be the U.S. getting probably similar to what we will see next summer. U.S. will get the knockout rounds. Mexico and I would venture to say Costa Rica. I heard Jamaica floated. I imagine they'll get some group matches for their teams or something like that. Which, to be fair, I think Costa Rica, especially that national stadium, that'll be a good host site for the women's national team. And I think anyone who gets seated in Costa Rica will enjoy having to be in Costa Rica for at least 2 weeks. There are worse places to have to go.
I still think we should make all the European teams play in Central America.
I agree.
Have them play
as a U.S. women's fan. I think we should do that. Absolutely.
I mean, because then what you do is you have them. Well, then what you do is you have them play at some combination of Alajuelo, where they were playing the 20s right now. You have them play at the National Stadium in San Jose, which is literally halfway between the airport and downtown San Jose. You could have them play at Herediano and on that 1950s welcome mat.
Oh yeah, that's legitimate AstroTurf.
Yeah, I mean that literally is like
they would have to
the
change that.
it looks like the playing surface of the Georgia Dome in 1994.
Yeah, they would have to change that.
Yeah.
No, don't make England and
play on there.
Make England and Spain play on there. Well, now Spain will be fine with the heat for the most part. They've got their climate to be fine with it.
Maybe.
I'm like,
I would love to see Saprissa in there too.
You have the Monsters cage, absolutely, yeah. But yeah, I
put
think
England and Sweden at Herediano Stadium.
Yes.
And what I want then is Costa Rica should qualify.
Oh yeah.
Given this format.
Yeah.
Oh
they
yeah.
get to
100%.
if they qualify, they get to be a host of their group. Give me Germany or one of those France to play at Saprissa against Costa Rica.
Oh.
And just watch them go.
Exactly.
What is this?
Yeah.
And then they'll realize
like Costa Rica fans just doing like the welcome to hell thing.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, they would
like every time the U.S. has had to have to like it's the same shit though that like when ever like we qualified through Europe, I'm like you had to go play in Norway.
Darn, you had to go to Albania.
We had to go to Honduras.
Yeah.
Do you know what that was like?
Yeah.
Everyone there hated us. The chain link fences weren't for their safety; they were for ours.
Yeah. You go to Guatemala City. You go to Tegucigalpa, Honduras. You go to the Monsters cage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck on all those, Cowboy. Bart, I hope we haven't gotten you into any kind of trouble with the real world.
Not yet.
Okay. But thanks, as always, for coming by on Mondays and breaking everything down, considering we had a lot to break down.
Can I get an Atlanta United comment in here before I leave?
Sure.
I have been very negative on this team this season. That's their own fault. I do not, watching it back, I do not think Saturday was as bad as some of the commentary has been. Part of it is just, why can't we ever beat Red Bulls? Which is a fair question. If that is an existential question, when we all die, we can go up and...
Psychological at this point.
Yeah. When we die and get to go to the pearly gates and ask God our first question, it should probably be, why can't we beat Red Bulls?
You're not alone.
I thought it looked okay. Chance creation was fine.
Yeah.
I think that they have figured out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. They're figuring it out.
How to play together.
Yeah.
But again, the problem is the 2 wins in a row is great. Not going to argue that. But you dug yourself such a big hole that you've got to do a whole lot of work to get out of it. And you're not home again until July 16th. So you better hope you get some points after the international break. Maybe this international break, John, the last one broke us. Maybe this one will reset us. So.
Well, that's why you need to call them international brokes and international breaks.
Wow.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, man. So Soccer for USPod this week, breaking down everything. Yes. Okay. Cool. Go back to the real world. Go get caffeinated. And what's the mug this morning?
WVU Reed College of Media. Which doesn't exist anymore. Celebrating the fact that the WVU baseball team is now into the Super Regionals.
Not a shock. All right, my friend. Great to see you as always on Mondays. We'll catch up with you soon. There goes Bart. And so, Jared, any other final thoughts from you about what happened on the weekend before I go into news and notes and get out of here?
No, and that's kind of what I figured I could get in on that as well, is that I too, I didn't feel like it was, I think I saw a couple of people talk about it being, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. I didn't feel like it was 3 steps back.
No.
I thought their response to the goals was fine. They could not find one. You got to figure some stuff out. Like, it's weird. You have figured out, I think, how this group of players works best. And like I said, I think personally, my opinion is that Garth saying that Ronnie is safe has freed up Ronnie to basically drop Thor's hammer on everybody.
Yeah.
Because it has been very much like no more Mr. Nice Guy energy.
Yeah.
And they've responded. Like, there's 2 ways you can respond to that when your coach calls you everything short of a child of God and a sewing machine. Mm-hmm. How you respond to that tells me about you. Yeah. Bartosz Slisz has responded positively.
Yes.
I did not know if Bart had that dog in him. He apparently does have that dog in him. Yep. I think that Jay has some of that dog in him.
Yep.
And you've gotten better moments out of those guys. You are still making just the dumbest mistakes at times, and it's infuriating. I said Saturday night, I said one of my problems with all of that was you just played 2 really emotional games. 2 wins. Both of them were chaotic. You managed to hang on in a whirlwind game with Cincinnati. Yeah. Then the Orlando game is just drunk. When you're that tired emotionally, when you're that exhausted about what has just happened, and you're going into like, this is our last game before the break, guys. We just need to give it what we got. Let's just do our thing. For one of your DPs to just hand the ball to them and hand them an early lead 3 minutes in it's backbreaking in so many different ways. Right. Because you have emotionally crippled yourself 3 minutes into a match in a place that has been your house of horrors. You've never won there. You've been in position to win there once or twice. No, twice now. Last 2 years. 2 years ago, you went there. You had a lead. Caleb Wiley makes a mistake. Marcedic gets caught in possession because he's daydreaming or some shit. I don't know. And then last year, you had it late, and then they stole it at the death after Mosqueda put you ahead. Yep. Like, it's psychological at this point, but to have that mistake is just crippling, because all of a sudden, like, you've been having to fight back so much over the last week, and now you have to fight back for 87 minutes because of a stupid mistake. That is just, it's emotionally taxing and it's emotionally crippling. You can't do that shit, man. No. You cannot. You have to be better. You have to be safer with it. I still think that Abram was kind of like, what the hell are you playing this to me for?
Yep.
And I don't know. I don't know. And obviously Miguel's not trying to leave a ball short. Again, they're not trying to make mistakes, but I am hopeful that with more of this fire comes you guys being tougher mentally and locking in. And part of that is also locking in mentally for 90 minutes and not having these silly mistakes. Look, I think Derek Williams is a bulldog. He is not a fast bulldog anymore.
Yeah.
As we saw from him getting beat for pace. But I think he is, especially in the box, I think he can still be a danger. But Father Time waits for no man. You got to be careful with his minutes. You got to be careful. Like, when do you want to go to Noah? When do you want to, when do you want to go to Ephra? Whoever the heck it might be. I don't know how you want to proceed, but it's going to be interesting how you come out of this, because you figured out a way for some of these guys to play together. Next, you got to get Emmanuel Latte-Lot going. Yeah, he had a goal wiped away. That should have probably counted. I still think VAR handled it correctly. I'm more upset at the AR than I am VAR. Which is, like, again, that doesn't it's 2-1. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Red Bulls tightens up. Maybe something different happens. Who knows?
I think Game State has the opportunity to change at that point.
But Game State was already in your favor, because Red Bulls was kind of like, yeah, that's fine. You can have the ball. We're up 2-0. Yeah. Also, you really screwed up on the second goal because you're playing a high line and then you dropped off, so then you're compressed, and that high line allows them to run in behind, but no pressure on the ball, and it's just bad. Yeah. But Game State was already in your favor, is what it is. But the fact of the matter is, you've also had Latte-Lot, who should have scored against Cincinnati at least once. He was in on goal, 1v1 the keeper, and did not score. Rounded the keeper and did not score. Yeah. Had a header that he should have scored against Orlando. I think it's Hernandez whips one in the second half. He just whiffs on it. And I don't know if it was just over his head, if it just passed his head. I don't know what it was, but, like, it's one of those, you expect him to score for to be honest, what you're paying, you expect him to score. Yeah. You got to get him going, because you have been able to figure out that 3 in the back gives you a little more stability. I don't know that you're giving up as many goals from open play, but you are giving up the dumb mistake goals, but those are just become standard for the last 2 years. But the 3 at the back has worked for you. Saba at right wing back. John, to me, it kind of feels like Jay and Tristan last year. When Tristan got hurt, Jay took his spot and just did not give it back.
Yeah. I
wonder if we get in a situation where Brooks is back healthy. He was on the bench. He came off the bench. I do wonder if we get in a situation where basically, like, Saba just doesn't give him his spot back, as long as you're playing 3 at the back.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, you have Brooks for defensive, because he's a bit more of a defensive minded wingback. But I don't know if Saba's going to give him that spot back the way Saba's playing. No. You've unlocked that. You've unlocked Alexei Miranchuk. My opinion, again, does not represent the thoughts of everyone here, or my bosses, or my half bosses, or how many times Jason has fired me. Yes. I think getting Miguel away from Alexei has opened up Alexei.
Yes.
I think Miguel has been a bit of a black hole for production. I think Miguel not hanging out in Alexei's spots the entire game has opened up things for Alexei Miranchuk, and he just has to worry about Alexei. And that has worked out really well for this past week. No one is perfect, obviously, and he'll go through ups and downs. But, I mean, I think not having Miguel in his space with him has helped kind of open up that space. The upshot of that is now Miguel is around Latte Lot, and there are go look at some of the times when Latte Lot drops back into possession and go find Miguel Almiron in that shot. Like, you're just trying to find a spot on the field where that guy is not at, and he was all over God's creation. So you have to find where he is and not be there, which is, we're getting into like Heisenberg's principle now of like trying to understand the molecular movement of Miguel Almiron. It's a lot. I don't know how you fix it, but you've gotten some of these guys going that you needed to get going. You have to get Latte Lot going next. He's going to be the national team.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe getting away, doing all that will help him, but you have to get him going next.
Yep.
Because you can't, and because Ronnie had said as much, like, you can't live this way. Like, yeah, it's fun for the fans. Those 2 wins were great. They were fun. They were exciting. You can't live this way.
No.
You have to be more secure on defense. You have to put away your chances when you get them, especially your big chances. You have to get him going. And you have to basically take any momentum you had and carry it over and kind of bend that Red Bulls game. Because, look, Red Bulls games were really stressful this year and really annoying for everyone. Because you shut them out at home. They did not get a shot on goal in Atlanta. You should have beaten them, and you did not. You should have probably beaten them 3-0, and you did not. You did not put chances away. Hell, man, Atlanta United 2, they opened the year with Red Bulls 2, dominated that game, couldn't find a goal. Red Bulls 2 won it 1-0 because of a deflected shot that I'm not even sure was on target.
Yeah.
And looped in over Jaden Hibbert, and then Red Bulls 2 won over the weekend up in New York with a goal in like the 75th minute because Rodrigo Neri has put a brick wall in front of the goal right now, and I don't know how to help that kid. Yeah. He just needs to see the ball go in the net. So all 4 Red Bulls games your organization's played this year have been stressful and frustrating because you feel like you should have done better in all of them. You should have done better Saturday night. You should have gotten a point out of that game. Because as is so often the case with this team, what happens? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you get beat. Right now, you're beating yourself consistently. Please stop doing that.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes. So are you going to be drifting in and out this week?
Yes.
Okay. Standard guests, as far as I know, looks like it's going to be tomorrow. We'll be talking about Club World Cup and Club World Cup T-shirts that popped up in Seattle. And Wednesday is Tyler and Dylan, and I think we're catching up with Steve Livingston. Wednesday, Power Hour is normal on Thursday. The 9 o'clock hour is open. And we'll see who Major League Soccer sits there and throws at the Lions, otherwise known as the morning show on Friday at 10.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks again. And there goes Jarrett. And all right, so let's go through all the news and notes and stuff that has popped up on the desk. We mentioned Ange Postecoglou and Spurs. Right now, apparently Thomas Frank is the leader in the clubhouse at Brentford to take over if Ange is not renewed. I would tell Thomas Frank, no, don't do it. Don't do it, sir. Do not. FC Cincinnati has announced that they have call-ups during the June window. Miles Robinson, obviously. You're going to play Turkey on June 7 in East Hartford at Pratt & Whitney, and then you're going to play Switzerland June 10 at Geodis. And Teenage Hadibi is going to join Zimbabwe for 2 friendlies against Burkina Faso and Niger on the 6th and the 10th, with both of those matches being held in Morocco. Stefan Sharila and the Romanian U18 national team are going to host a training camp in Czechia, 2 friendlies against the host country on June 4 and June 7. And FC Cincinnati 2 defender Amir Daly, who we've seen this season with Atlanta United 2, has also been selected to Antigua and Barbuda's senior team roster ahead of their 2026 World Cup qualifying matches. They're going to play matches against Cuba and Honduras on the 6th and the 10th. So those are your announcements from FC Cincinnati that have happened this morning. Busy day for our buddy Ben Jacobs and everything that he has been talking about internationally, courtesy of our friends at The Guardian. Manchester City is confident of signing the £50 million rated Ryan Ait-Nouri from Wolves, keen to strengthen at left back after playing center back Josko Vardiol and Nico O'Reilly, neither of whom are fullbacks, there for most of last season. And Wolves, who sold Mateus Cunha to Manchester United for $62.5 million, have not given up hope of retaining Nelson Semedo, who is out of contract, yet to respond to the contract offer that is on the table for them. Also going on overseas with our buddy Ben Jacobs, who is traditionally very, very busy this time of year. Let's run through what is going on with Ben and everything that he has stumbled across. Once again, the Angers have so Manchester City value Aït-Nouri at around 30 to 35 million. Wolves want north of 40. Angers has a 50% sell-on, but Wolves can buy out that for a fee in the region of £8.5 million. Atletico Madrid confirmed Antoine Griezmann has signed a new deal until the summer of 2027. So any thoughts of him coming to Major League Soccer might have been once again had a kibosh put on them, at least momentarily. So keep an eye out for that. Napoli hoping to finalize the Kevin De Bruyne transfer this week. Advanced talks continue. The Fire are aware that Napoli are front runners. Yesterday, it's understood the fee being discussed by Forest for Botafogo striker Igor Jesus is in the region of 20 million euro. They are optimistic that a deal can be put together. Chelsea's next priority after Liam Delap is a right-footed left winger. Garnacho, Nico Williams, Jamie Gittins, 3 names under consideration. Desire to add another winger is more with Mikhailo Mudrik's absence in mind. Chelsea would prefer to keep Jadon Sancho, but only if he agrees to terms within the club's wage structure. Otherwise, Sancho goes back to Manchester United for a £5 million penalty fee. Another forward is possible, as Christopher Nkunku is expected to go. This could be another number 9, according to Jacobs, despite faith in Nico Jackson, or it could be a versatile attacking midfielder. Chelsea will be opportunistic should Morgan Rogers become available, but Villa have no intention to sell even with a tight PSR position. Yorel Hato also still remains a possibility on defense. No movement on keepers. Chelsea will first pick a number 1 from Sanchez, Georgi Petrovic, Philip Jorgensen, and Mike Penders. The Club World Cup is likely to be a key period to judge all 4. Al Hilal is pushing to appoint Simone Inzaghi before the Club World Cup meeting is supposed to happen today with Inter to clarify his future. And it also appears Al Hilal now believe an agreement with Bruno Fernandes is close after a week of positive meetings. Currently deliberating with his family. Key factor in whether Fernandes agrees will be if the move is also right for them. More than just a football decision, Al Hilal want a final answer by Friday. Nor formal approach or bid yet to Manchester United, but Al Hilal's belief is a sale will be sanctioned if Fernandes asks to leave. Manchester United still insist they do not want to sell their captain. Also, other gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get out of here. Once again, tomorrow it'll be Club World Cup. We'll get into those discussions. We will also, once again, the U.S. U23 women's team taking the pitch in their second match against Germany at 12:30. You can catch that on YouTube as well. So if you have stuff to look after, then while you're having lunch, you can go and check out the U23s and what they're doing over in Germany. Barcelona have opened talks with Arsenal and Thomas Partey over a free when his contract expires in June. That's from the 3-letter paper. Liverpool preparing to make a formal bid for Milos Kerkez, who's already agreed to the move from Bournemouth, valued at more than £40 million. That's from GMS. Liverpool failed with 2 offers for Florian Wirtz, may have to offer England U21 pair Harvey Elliott and Jarrell Quansah as part of a make-weight. 4-letter paper, Manchester City have opened talks with Lyon over a deal for Ryan Cherky. Manchester City have opted against including James McAtee in their squad for the Club World Cup, which could open the door for the 22-year-old Englishman to move to Manchester United. Forest, according to the 4-letter paper, having talks over signing a trio of Brazilians from Botafogo. We'd mentioned Igor Jesus. Jair Cunha at center back and 22-year-old left back Cuiabano are also included. Once again, 4-letter paper. Ipswich and Liam Delap completed the first part of the medical over the £30 million move to Chelsea. It's from Fabrizio Romano. Everton are interested in Brighton midfielder Matt O'Reilly, unsure if the Seagulls will sell. Maurizio Sarri close to returning for a second spell at Lazio, according to Fabrizio Romano. Inter's Inzaghi. We mentioned his discussions with Al Hilal. Barcelona's sporting director Deco said they're not looking for a new striker after links with Victor Gyökeres, who's also being tracked by Arsenal and Manchester United. And Marc-Andre ter Stegen says he's not worried about his position at Barca, despite them being linked with Espanyol's Joan Garcia. That is from Forbes. So Also, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it before we get out of here. And I know we went long because, frankly, there was a lot to catch up on. And thanks to Bart and thanks to Abe Gordon and thanks to Jarrett for hopping by. FS2 has the CONCACAF U20s at 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, Panama, Nicaragua, Mexico, and Canada. And it is, once again, FIFA Plus, the U23 friendly that's on FIFA Plus, but also available through Germany Soccer on their YouTube channel. And it is the DFB channel once again. That's at 12:30. So once again, it's a lot to digest on a Monday. So just enjoy the Monday, and we'll get back at it again tomorrow. We'll once again discuss Club World Cup. We'll get into T-shirts. We'll get into everything else that's going on, and get you ready for a traditionally very, very busy week here as we are looking at anything and everything involving the international game and how it affects all of the clubs in Major League Soccer, as Major League Soccer does not quit here in this window. Once again, 5 matches this weekend, so it's about a third of the schedule. And we will break it all down for you as the week goes along, and we'll discuss everything going on with Atlanta United. Remember, Decatur FC is at 6 o'clock on Friday night. Drew Dickinson and I will have the call for you on that one. Also at 4 o'clock, NYCFC 2 and Atlanta United 2. Pregame show will be at 3:30 on Friday afternoon, and it'll be a 4 o'clock kick, and we will have that one for you on the network. We will have a conversation with Steve Cook and a couple of other folks in the pregame shows. We get you ready for everything going on there. All right. Busy day, busy weekend, and we're back at it again tomorrow morning, 9:05. Thanks for everybody who's been hanging out and going the distance with us today on a supersized Monday here at SDH. Mucho platial. Play it safe. We'll be back in less than 22. And since it is the end of the show, it means we get to do this. We'll be back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning. Play it safe, everybody.